Silence! Man, you suck at silence.
Grown-ass man just growled at me.
It was more a grunt of derision.
You're not very good with...
This motherfucker growled.
Okay, maybe a growl. A snarl.
You don't do silence very well, do you?
No, we don't.
All right.
I should get an Xbox achievement for that. Made SciStrike growl at you. Oh shit, we're recording. Shit, my bad.
We are
My
in fact
bad.
live.
David!
Woohoo! Yay!
Woo, David! Oh shit. We're good.
Right.
I think you should replace the happy, victorious music at the start with like really sobbing music.
Yeah, like
very somber. Yeah,
funeral dredges.
Just yeah. Something from a horror movie.
All right, very good. Okay, let us see what we got here. Welcome back, everybody, and here we go. We have confirmation that Pheno received his oven mitt and is now safe from serious facial harm this evening.
Personal protection equipment.
Absolutely. If anyone else got theirs already, let us know. And just so we know they arrived, because there's no tracking, because I sent them like a cheap ass would. Anyway.
I'm pretty sure after the retort that Angry Welshman had for Mr. Thrive and Survive that he definitely needed some personal protective equipment.
Hey, I wonder if, after that, I wonder if he's probably not going to make it for tonight, because it's like, what, 5 o'clock in the morning over there? So he probably won't.
It is a long hop and skip across the pond.
Indeed. All right. Well, before we get started, Andy, what's going on over in Backyard Science? How's things?
Oh, things are going crazy. I'm about to do a wet carbon fiber layup on a 7-foot-long optical tube tomorrow morning.
Ooh.
That's what she said.
Oh my! It starts already.
You
saw I put up the little video of the sun there when I was just testing the various filters that I've ordered, because very difficult to get these days for some reason. And I put it up. I mean, I believe I knew what I saw, but I put it up there anyway for confirmation that I accidentally caught a sunspot.
Oh, that absolutely was the sunspot system 2660 AR 2665 that we've been seeing for the last week a couple of weeks now. That no questions asked. You saw the same sunspot that is the one I recorded a little earlier this last month.
Yep, and I was actually happy to see it, because prior to this, with the testing of filters, there was no sunspot activity during the times that I was trying out the different cameras. So I really couldn't be sure if I was actually seeing a good image of the sun, or just a big orange light. So this kind of confirmed it. I'm a little more relaxed. For anybody that doesn't know, we're mounting an expedition to Tennessee to the zone of totality to record with every video recording instrument known to man, and of course we'll bring all that back and have it all in nice video form here on the channel. I might be doing some live streaming too. Keep in mind we are in the middle of nowhere, so there's no guarantee that's going to work. But we'll definitely.
I am hoping to have the modified Canon 60D that's running pure hydrogen alpha wavelength at this point running. I don't know for sure, because I have no idea how in the world you refocus the actual cell unit inside of the Canon, but I'm attempting to do so now that it's running full HA. So hopefully I'll be able to get some awesome emission film of the corona once we get into totality.
Sounds cool. Alrighty. Let's see. Yep, everybody knows the protocol. We're gonna play some really stupid videos, and whenever they make an assertion or something like that absolutely requires a response, merely yell "drink." Everyone else will clam up and allow you to have your say. After which, there can be comments from the rest of us. And for the folks in the public chat, there's, if you remember the very stringent rules for the oven mitt competition, basically, if you throw up a comment that happens to make me laugh, that's it. You won. So you see, it's a very tough contest.
Yep.
And
the best your mama joke against Sai's mom gets an oven mitt.
And actually,
Oh, come on now.
and remember, as we get towards the end of these shows, with the amount of times you guys call drink, a change in the direction of the wind I find hilarious. So there's a good chance there's going to be a lot of winning going on.
Well, here's a quick question for you, Sai.
Yes, sir.
What do you think about a special yearly winner that gets a leftover for making telescopes out of carbon fiber personal protective equipment glove?
Now, see, it depends.
It'd be a carbon fiber glove, but I won't do any sort of epoxy resin or polyester resin, so it'd still be kind of cloth-like, just
All right.
carbon.
I was worried
Cloth.
about the resin hardened. I was like, how mad are you at people?
Well, when it comes to people like Mr. Thrive and Survive, pretty angry.
Oh, actually, that's another thing. Speaking of yearly things, we got at some point we're gonna have to finalize nominations for the Golden Tinfoil Hat Award. It was Jaren last year. I'm sure that's a shock to all. And
Who would ever imagine Jaren?
And he did. I mean, we've got the big trophy, which I think you guys saw, and that gets the name of the winner on it, honor and all that. And then we have the little lucite things that are laser etched that have a picture of a little 3D image of the Golden Tinfoil Hat Award in it that mail out. Jaren did not give us a shipping address ever. He commented on the thing and even said, "Where's my tinfoil hat?" And I said, "Well, no, actually, you do get an award. Just tell us where to send it." Nothing. All right. What do you think? Is that enough of me rambling? And
He was in the midst of losing his house. I mean, he might not have known where he was going to be living next.
Okay. All right. But see,
Also,
yes,
Jaren's going to be at the Flat Earth Convention. Just send it to me. I'll take it down there and deliver it to him personally with a big old hug.
I don't think. I don't think. Remember, it's sold out though. So did you actually get in?
No, like it's literally one exit down from me. Like I live in North Carolina.
So you can just stand.
You're good then.
Yeah,
All right.
like I could just stand out there, like dressed like a limousine driver with a sign that said Jarenism.
That'd be
When
great.
he says I'm Jaren, I'm gonna lick him on the neck and then give him the trophy.
Well, sir.
All right.
It'd be like the last time I went to the Oscars.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let us see.
But evidently nobody watched the Oscars last year, so nobody got that joke. It's fine. It's fine.
I was laughing inside. It's hysterical. I'm getting all teary-eyed. Absolutely.
Don't patronize me, Si.
Well,
I got to be honest, I'm just a little bit more interested in the stars outside of this atmosphere than the stars within it.
Understandable. Okay. Shall we get started with the silliness?
What you mean get started?
Absolutely.
All right, the silliness by others.
Yeah.
We can start with the
What do
silliness.
you think the hour was leading up to this?
Yeah, Michelle, there's a.
Well, for some of us, we were still working.
Did you buy Richard Dawkins' new train out session on how to not completely lose all your brain cells? Verified. It's been verified the work because of his experience with Wendy Wright, right? And everyone else.
Was Wendy Wright the blonde chick that kept saying
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
God, dude.
I know you used that joke before, but I still can't get over that because I watched that whole thing like twice.
Okay.
All right, can we? Yeah, let's move to something a little bit more positive. About
Okay. All right. We'll
Wendy
start.
be thinking about that interview.
We'll start with a. This is a short one. It's a request by Cal. Thank you, Cal, for bringing this to our attention.
Oh yay!
It's by Leveled Out. It's called Reflection is the Key. So.
Oh great! You know, maybe this is where the dodo bird guy found his arguments from.
Could be.
Remember that cow?
Oh, him.
Yeah,
No, it's actually nothing like that. It's just,
okay.
it's just mindless drivel. Kyle's stuff. Not to say that Kyle's stuff wasn't mindless drivel, but this is just if you could on a scale, it's more drivel than the.
Oh, great. Okay.
All right, here we go.
And compared to Peachy's.
I suppose.
Okay, that'd be the case. There we go. Reflection is the Key by Leveled Out, requested by Cal. So
I believe that I have found a way of proving beyond doubt that the Earth is flat. This proof comes from the animation that you are watching right now.
Drink.
Oh, you beat me to it.
CGI!
Damn it, you beat me to it!
CGI! He's admitting it before it even starts. It's CGI.
All right.
Comes from animation.
Good call.
Although it is a rather unassuming animation, it reveals, or should I say, highlights, a flaw with the globe Earth model. A flaw that cannot be denied, a flaw that is easily understood. This animation has only one light source. It is currently moving towards you, and away from you, at a steady rate of speed. At the same time it is decreasing in size as it moves towards you, and increasing in size as it moves away from you.
Okay, Drink, I'm not sure if this is cause for Drink, but that was sort of confusing. It's decreasing in size as it moves towards you, and
in the same size to me.
But that didn't make a whole lot of sense. It's like it's actually.
I think they refer to the illumination.
All right, because he said it's all right. Moving on.
This creates an illusion of stillness. The light seems to not move at all, but I can assure you, it is moving. What this tells us is significant. It is the nail in the coffin scenario.
Okay, pause right now. If you don't understand, it's basically that the sun is remaining the same angular size. As it moves away, it gets bigger, and closer, it gets smaller. So it's the same angular size. That's what it's supposed to be saying.
Well, if it is saying that, then it is also saying that it must be physically contracting in size, because for it to do that.
Yeah, but just continue.
All right, continuing. Here we go.
This is
this person really wanting someone to pull out a compass and stick it in their damn computer screen?
Perhaps.
Your natural senses tell you when the sun is at its furthest point away from the camera, likewise, when it is at its closest to the camera. What is interesting, and should be noted, is that the sun spot appears underneath the sun, only when the sun is visibly over the curved surface. This image right here directly conflicts with the story of our reality, because
do I really need to call Drink?
It can
Drink.
If you want to.
Okay,
sure.
okay. Glare proves nothing. Okay, next.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, that's nothing but glare. Thank you.
Use a solar filter, please. Okay, thanks.
And they keep
Bass here has got it. Daisy, Daisy, for the last ship.
I'm so happy.
Okay. All right.
He knows exactly how to make me smile.
I'm a little tired of these folks confusing hotspot with reflection.
No. I wanted
I bet you I could draw all the flat Earth arguments and put them in a hat, and now whenever watching videos, we just pick one out. It's like, oh, that one, and we find a matching, correlating counter argument. It's always the same.
The reason why we don't play flat Earth bingo is because there are not enough arguments to fill up all the squares.
Actually, I would say you're wrong because there are many ad hoc explanations. Overabundantly many.
Theo has got a good comment. Alexia, is Earth flat? I've got 29 addresses for psychiatric counseling. You need to contact one.
Okay. Fina, see, that would have been a winner. Fina, that would have been a winner, but you already won, so that would have been a winner, definitely.
Oh my god.
And here I was going to say that I had 79 more days to get around the globe.
All right. Continuing on.
Don't get me started.
Yes, RJ, I've been reading your book. Shut up.
Can only be classed as a story. If you still think that the sun is 93 million miles away, then this video is the video for you to debunk. The hotspot you see is a virtual impossibility.
Drink.
Okay, Andy, it's you.
Who was first? I don't think I was actually first there.
Ooh, I thought
No, you go. My point was just rhetoric.
Go ahead, Andy, you're up.
All right. The beam in the lowest located beam in the lower left-hand corner is clearly warped due to a, how do they like to say it? Fisheye lens. Oh my! They're using a wide-angle lens.
Okay. and
I'm sorry. I hate this dog. This whole dog cam footage. It gets used over and over and over, and every single time I've ever seen it, there is one very obvious point to make. It is the same type of wide-angle lens that everybody else uses to get anywhere near the 110-degree field of view of the human eye. Only it's nowhere close. It's about 56-degree field of view. So it's maybe half that of the human eye. It's distorted, and the human eye interprets it as being distorted when you see it on a computer screen or a television or a projector or in the greatest IMAX cinema theater that you've ever been to. It always looks distorted because after 56-degree field of view, things just look wrong because we don't mimic the human eyeball. We mimic what we would like to think the human eyeball portrays, but not what the human eyeball itself actually sees.
Indeed.
So
our field of view is just simply too great for a camera to reproduce as of yet. Maybe someday we'll get there. Right now, we're not, nor have we been at this point in time. The dog cam video is the exact same as any other frickin' wide-angle lens that has ever been used. It distorts the image.
Quite true. And, drink. Once again, they refer to the hotspot, which is not a hotspot, it's a reflection. And as such, does not allow you to determine how far the sun is away, because it's not directly over it. It's that happens to be the point where light from the sun reflects off of, apparently, the upper surface of the clouds at us. So, anyway, moving on.
I'm sorry for my rant. I hate the whole field of view thing that flat earthers never seem to recognize what field of view is, how it works, what it means. It drives me insane.
Wait until you talk to them about perspective, then it gets really bad.
Well, perspective, they seem to like when they want to use it, but not like it when they don't. All right,
it's like really a simple concept, right, that I should always see if I'm above this quote-unquote plane, right? Because imagine I have a line, right? Suppose it's my plane. The two dots there, right, I draw, say, I don't know, semicircle, however big I want it, and that shape will be convex. That means every point in that thing from one to another, there should be a line that does not get intersected by anything. What that means is I can draw a point where my eyes are and draw a point where the next object is, and I should always see a vision from above the plane.
Yes. Alrighty.
Can I make a quick prediction?
Okay.
I feel like this whole perspective thing is going to kind of come back into play later on. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
Because, like flat earthers never understand perspective when it works against them, but when it's a thing that they can use to cherry pick a thing, for example, confirmation bias. I'm just throwing out that. I'm just making a prediction.
That's all science for them, though.
But specifically perspective.
That's another point I want to bring up, is that they always say that, like, if you zoom on a ship, you should see it again. And they say that sun and the ship work by similar principles. I've yet to see anyone zoom in on a sun like an idiot and see it pop back into view. I've seen someone rise up their elevation and have it pop back into view. Never seen a person zoom back
It
into
won't
it.
happen because it's literally impossible.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah, I
more
know,
perspective
that's
that
the point.
ever.
It goes completely against the whole point.
Quite true.
Cameras do not have magical abilities that bring back objects that are physically behind something.
But wait, hold on. Okay, it's been come to my attention by who is this here? To never question the flat Earth gods. Okay, great. Oh yes, okay, Mr. Yannick for the children. Next, we are actually using logic, and that is against their whole worship system. So we don't want to do that, do we?
No, that would be bad.
The whole world. How in the world can anyone that sits down and says the Earth is flat ever bring up the word logic? And I don't mean that because they're massively illogical and they're fucking dumbasses.
Well, they are, but
logic is a means of expressing a mathematical formula that is an actual practical real-world example of exhibits placed in front of you. It has nothing to do with the shape of anything. It is a process.
Indeed.
I should have drank a little bit more apparently tonight because I'm just ranting and raving.
Yes, you should.
Trust me, it'll happen. You'll just be easing into it. All right.
Time.
This is what I get for spending the whole day making telescopes. Damn it.
There you go. But it is a laudable activity. All right, here we go.
It is simply not possible for both sun and hotspot to be in shot at the same time.
Drake, right. If it was a hotspot, that would be true. But it's not!
It's an optical impossibility. The sun should be tens of thousands times higher than it is. If the scientists claim that it is in the distance...
Okay, Drake, first of all, they just make all these claims, no evidence, no reasoning from their thing. Okay, next.
Also, the phrase optical impossibility is stupid. It's just it's a stupid thing to say.
Okay.
You can
They did after Mission Impossible, they did Optical Impossible.
Thank you. Okay, finally, another fellow movie buff that liked the Mission Impossible sequel that didn't star Tom Cruise. They got Jeremy Renner to do it, and I thought he killed it.
Indeed.
Grant.
Oh, look,
All right.
sub's in. Sub. Did your MIT arrive? Let us know in the chat if your MIT has arrived yet. Okay. Moving on. Here we go.
Actually, it's not. Wait, hold on. Can I quickly interfere and say something sub-zero, right? It's not reflection. It's atmospheric lensing. Don't forget Rob Skiba's new revolutionary point.
All right.
I still want it to be succession.
There will be no successing of the flat Earth.
Succession.
Okay, and on that note, we're really going to continue now.
Are we really?
It's a 2.5 minute video.
It's the last hour.
It's a 2.5 minute video.
I feel like I've been staring at this picture of a camera and the sun since I was 12.
All right, I'm hitting play.
That when it actually moves away from Earth, while maintaining its exact relative size and position from the point of view of the observer, the reflection, or hotspot moves towards the edge of the curved surface to a point where it will eventually maintain the exact same lighting level, no matter how large and far we push it. Right now our sun, in this animation, is many times larger than it was when it was at its brightest. Now the light that we see on the curved surface will alter no...
Okay, Andy, that was definitely you.
First off, our sun is nowhere near the brightest that it will ever be. Sol will be much, much, much more brighter in a couple 100 billion years when it starts going a little bigger and engulfing Venus and Earth and Mars and, you know, turning into a red giant.
Here, you'll get to touch it.
God, man.
Well, what can I say? There's no way to close the curtains on that one. The thing's just gonna get bigger.
Could have waited for
eventually it's gonna want to try and fuse carbon into iron, and
that never turns out well. Never turns out well.
It's just not going to end well for our planet.
Things aren't looking any too good right now.
I think we're gonna go with the same thing before that. Like, let's just be honest.
All right, maybe we could let's see if we can blow through the last 20 seconds of this.
More. even though the sun is still moving away from us and increasing in size, how then can we see both sun and hot spot on Earth? The answer is simple, the Earth is flat.
Oh, there you go.
A sun genuinely 93 million miles from Earth would not produce a hot spot which mimics the hot spot created from a local light source.
That's
sun
not a
really
hot
is-
spot produced from a local light source, you stupid fucking asshole.
First off, that is
If you're going to
Siri will not
require
talk to
that
her
all
way.
of the guy's assumptions have some connection to reality, that's not going to help his argument at all.
So we're being unfair, you're saying. You're saying we're being unfair to the flat earthers.
Exactly.
I see.
Entitled to at least 50 cockamamie, idiotic, completely unjustified assumptions. Really? Isn't he entitled to that?
All right.
He's entitled to being told he's a fucking idiot for looking at a reflection on a cloud and thinking it has something to do with the spherical nature of our planet.
All right.
Give it another 30 minutes, that dot of light will be gone.
We don't really know how emotional this poor guy is because remember, we're hearing it through the lame voice synthesizer that can't even simulate Hawking.
Yeah, the robot voice is not too expressive, is it? Okay, we've got a grand total of 4 seconds left. Let's see if he gets through 4 seconds without saying something stupid. We'll see. We should take bets.
See, why did you have to say that? Why, like, I feel like you're challenging me.
All right, let's see if.
Go for it.
Here we go.
Here we go,
As
son.
close
This
as
is
it
my gift.
looks.
Isn't
The Earth
every
is
day
flat.
on Flat Earth a challenge? I mean,
Kinda.
really, think about it. Every day on a flat Earth would be a challenge not to be sucked into the epicenter of this massive disk traveling at hundreds of thousands of times the speed of light.
Okay.
Face it, guys, we're all ripped as shit. We're like Arnold Schwarzenegger times 10. Just because we can resist that drag.
All right. How about we do the last two? How about we do the last 2 seconds, shall we? Here we go.
Have a nice day.
That's it. Have a nice day. There. The last 4 seconds.
War crossing. Oh, that's oblique, Mr. Unite.
What do we got?
Hopefully no more bent camera frames.
That's
I
pretty
don't.
good for door
I-
tossing.
Can we watch this again? I didn't get it the first time.
But no, we cannot watch it again. We've got other stuff on the menu. Other stuff.
How in the world can anyone say that their camera is not distorting the image when the first thing that you see is the most curved, straight line in the world?
Yes, a little bendy bar there really kind of gives it away, doesn't it? All right.
Well, you notice, like, the image that he's only shown us a bunch of different times. You're not expecting him to kind of add actually shows, are you?
Well, I'm generally not expecting him to use his brain, so.
Well, there's a win.
If he only had a brain.
All right,
Succession is not here.
Well, that was pretty good. A little 2 minute and 47-second video we did in like 20 minutes. Pretty good. All right.
We
Hold
still
on.
have more information.
Drink.
Okay.
Sub-Zero has tried to tell him 4 times that the mitt has arrived and he needs to scroll a bit for the original message.
Message.
Poor guy is totally frustrated for being ignored. Winky face.
Mitt has arrived.
Sorry, I'm glad you got it.
The mitt gets him a man.
Next.
Oh shit! For a few more.
I should have made him pay a super chat. Then I would have read it. Yeah, it'd been great.
No, there's no need for that. All right.
Skywriting airplane available to alert them about the Sub-Zero's mitt.
Okay. Next up. And this, there was some kind of prescient vision going on in our little group because the next video seems to be from P-Brain,
Zero's
BRNE, called Crepuscular Sun Rays Prove Flat Earth.
Okay, Drake, first of all, this is when an actually perspective comes to play because the crepuscular rays are facing us and therefore it looks like the paralanes converge. Okay.
Indeed. Nobody's ever shown a picture of them from the side, have they? All right.
Called it.
Put like a salve on corpuscular rays, you know.
All right, here we go. And this one is, let's see. Oh my, this is a long one. This is almost 20 minutes.
I know I've brought this up before and it sounded totally insane, but I do believe it's actually related to a little phenomenon we like to know as earthshine, inverse corpuscular rays. I've literally seen them. There are certain times where there are thunderstorms over Colorado Springs where you can actually see earthshine produce from the ground up the exact opposite of corpuscular rays. It does happen.
You're a shell. You're a shell.
Well, of course I'm a shill. For the love of God, man, I make my own telescopes. Of course I'm a shill. Have you not figured that one out? Jesus. I've been working for NASA since before the day I was born.
Since before NASA even existed.
Yes.
Well, yeah, my grandpa got me employed before he made my dad, and before my dad made him, or me, or whatever. I don't know. I'm going redneck, apparently.
And yes, Emma is correct. That calling drink on a video before it even starts, that beats the one we had where it was a 0 second call for drink. This is the new record holder.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It was negative seconds.
Eet MeeL's number 1.
Anti-corpuscular rays prove that the sun is underground. Harry is onto something. Not sure which.
All right, let's get started. We'd like to finish this up before Monday. Folks got to go to work and all. Here we go.
Hey everybody, this is a video about the sunbeams or the sun rays that come through the clouds called corpuscular rays. And what I'm going to do here
first
is...
of all, when he did the disc with the holes, is there any reason, right, when you shine a light, there wasn't any spread on the lights? Can I just point that out?
Okay. Here we
I mean,
go.
because he's making this whole point that it looks like it's coming from a local point, and then he uses the point, right, from like grabbing a disc with some holes carved in and shining light through. But then I guess he would prove his own theory, would he not? Because then you don't see what he is saying you should see.
Okay. All right. That's definitely drink worthy. And oh, Cara's here. Hi, Cara.
Hello.
Hey. Welcome back.
Hello.
All right.
Hi, Cara.
Did that sound like ramble? Or did that sound like a ramble? Did you get what I was saying?
About corpuscular rays.
Okay, that's a bit of a stretch. I'm always one for a good pun, but that's a bit of a stretch. All right. Moving on. Here we go.
Prove in this video with a series of proofs beyond a shadow of a doubt that the sun is close and the sun is small.
Beyond a shadow.
First, I'm going to show you an experiment I did with the sun
here's
rays.
the light. Has an angle. Here are these lights on the right. No angle. Good job. You just bumped your own theory. No, not a theory. It's a hypothesis. I'm sorry.
All right.
Forgive me.
Here, look, at least it's experimentation, and you'll note that once again, it does in fact include a paper plate, just like last week.
Well,
All right, paper plate.
Could I just point out that if you were to lower the camera down to the so on the image on the right, if you had a nice wide angle camera and you placed it down on the surface and looked up at those rays, you would get corpuscular rays.
In fact, notice here.
Wide-angle cameras are the work of the devil.
You immediately get your explanation due to the angular nature of it because of the fact that, left, you're looking more kind of like a perpendicular angle. It's not really, but it'll cause some effect. Here, right, none at all. Okay, next.
All right.
This is like looking at shadows or the corpuscular rays from space on the right.
Alrighty.
I would actually venture further than that, Cara. I mean, the scale necessary to actually produce such vertical lines is... to try and compare that to anything earthly is so beyond the realm of acceptably insane.
Are you defying?
It's just
are you
laughable.
defying the paper plate proof? You saw how effective it was last week.
I'm not just that, but I am willing to sit down and kick anyone in the face with a paper plate full of holes just to show them how close That paper plate is to their eyeballs.
Got it. Okay.
Oh my gosh! Make sure to put the edge too. Make sure you do it with the edge to show them where the edge is.
All right. I think we should continue. Here we go.
Very solid proof that the sun is in fact close and not very big. And then I'm going to refute Wikipedia's account of these crepuscular rays. They say that
Yeah,
these rays
suck
are
it,
due
Wikipedia.
to perspective, and that in fact they are, for all intents and purposes, parallel lines from a sun that's almost 1 million miles in diameter.
Okay,
The fact that we see them splaying out, they say that that's due to
convergence in the
perspective. I'm going to show that
We're all
that's
doomed.
impossible. And then number 3, I'm going to show that it's actually, when you take a look at this picture of the crepuscular rays, that actually perspective is missing from this photo. If in fact the sun were 1 million miles in diameter and 93 million miles away,
Did you say 1 million
heliocentric
miles
model is
away?
in trouble.
I think so.
It's called 1AU, asshole. Use the right measurement terminology.
Well, how impressive does one...
Way to use astronomical units, but whatever. Okay, let's go ahead.
All right. Here we go.
So let's get to my experiment. I watched a video from my perspective. His video is called Flat Earth Sunbeams, Part 1. I was outside and I go, man, let me try that. And I just kind of ran in. I grabbed some cardboard. I cut some holes in it, and I wanted to see how the sun reacts coming through. So here I am, raising it high over my head.
Watch out.
So
Okay,
about
Drink.
8 feet
Watch out, NASA. He
All
has a paper plate. Watch out, NASA.
Watch out, NASA. Also, don't. Oh yeah, and also watch out, Backyard Science, because he's also.
Wait, don't want. Wait, not only do they have a paper plate, they also have a water. They also have a water ball with viscous blue substance.
Oh no, not that. No. No.
Fuck! I'm muting myself. This is bullshit.
Got a damn paper plate.
All right, let's.
He's just gonna like. Oh god, I could mute my microphone because of the screaming, but I'm just gonna get a pillow and you're just gonna hear some like muffled screaming under the pillow.
I have to say, if he tapes either one of these plates to the inside of a cake display and then puts it on a rotisserie and then puts a camera on it, I'm gonna fucking lose it.
All right,
that's just gonna be it.
Under those circumstances,
you're gonna hear what it sounds like to laugh yourself to death.
Oh
That's
god,
what's going to happen.
that sounded great.
This is the same guy who suggested that there were multiple cell ancestral poles. Not the one guy from last week, but the guy that Betty Van Velsen cited from ages ago.
All right, let's try to keep the Antonio references to a minimum. We suffered through that last week.
Next up, I'm gonna use my own shit to like show what's the proper diet. Okay.
All right. Let us continue.
Away from this, and the light doesn't diverge or spread out. You know, it doesn't splay out like we see the crepuscular rays. And this sun's far away. Just like in the heliocentric model, the sun is far away, right? 93 million miles away from our clouds. But we see the sun rays splaying out from the clouds as though it were a close sun and not a faraway sun.
As if perspective.
Indeed. Move your upper paper plate way farther away and then lay down face up on the bottom paper plate. Problem solved.
In the middle of the interstate.
Please.
Another thing, they always think that like the lines should converge to 0. The reason, right, they seem to converge is the distances are getting smaller, and we draw a line from that thing to another. It looks like it's just 2 converging lines. But here's the thing: if those ever meet, that must mean the distance is 0, and that must mean that your 2 rail tracks have not collided to each other, and you have a horrible train build.
You know, I've always wondered, like, has anyone seen like a flat Earth version of what parallel rays would look like?
Like, what do you mean?
Well, if they think crepuscular rays shows that the sun is close, what would it look like if the sun was far away?
There's some non-Euclidean geometry. Okay, it's so advanced.
So like all the rays would have to be perfectly
So there was Euclidean geometry. Okay, then there came non-Euclidean geometry. Okay, and then they went above that, and then they went above. It's so advanced. Okay, it's God given.
So Cara, you're saying that they seem to be able to do it with train tracks, but they're not very good doing it with.
Yeah,
like I just want to see what they think would what it would look like. Like, what the hell do they expect?
Like they think at a finite distance of moving a thing back, you will expect from two parallel lines a distance apart from a finite distance to start converging at 0. Okay, it's a reason it's called convergence. Is because at a finite distance it gets there. Overall, as you approach infinity, it converges to 0. Got everything mad.
Well, my point is if you take a look at any of these corpuscular rays, and if you were to bend the rays so that they're parallel, they're no longer pointing at the sun.
Yeah,
that's a problem.
Understand things the
that's
Euclidean
not
geometry,
surprise. Okay, all the flat Earth is a problem.
geometry of Jed Clampett.
All right. Oh, and I hope everybody's keeping an eye on the public chat, because remember, anything extraordinarily humorous, we have to declare winners. All right. Moving on. We're a whole minute and 51 in.
You can see when it is far away, the light beams are parallel, and they don't splay out or diverge from the clouds.
I love this guy.
So then I got a little bit more sophisticated. I went inside and I cut some nicer holes in another my budget went up.
A little more sophisticated. He
I hope he put a tie on.
A little bit more he moved it up this time, okay?
Watch out, NASA.
He's wearing a tie.
I'm gonna get a little more advanced and move this plate up. Great.
This motherfucker shot a bunch of pizza boxes with a shotgun, and he calls it sophisticated. I love this
Wearing a
dude.
winter jacket.
Oh my god!
All right, here we go. This is gonna.
I will inject.
This is gonna show more clearly.
That is some odd shotgun, though.
Here we go.
And here they are, and I put some CGI here. I put some beams in there, and you can see they are dead straight. No splaying out. And then you can also, there's a part here
Put
where
the camera on the ground, damn it.
Yeah,
did you say he used CGI?
Yes, he did. And it
I think he's being sardonic, though.
at like 4 feet, I don't think this is an accurate model of the system he's trying to describe. Like, that's just my opinion. All right.
I think I would stand with that conclusion.
Well, if the camera's in outer space, yeah, it's a perfectly scale model.
Right.
Yeah, and of course the clouds, are beautifully simulated in the way that he apparently did not think to do.
Indeed.
It looks like sand is falling, like that.
What I find humorous is, okay, so we have these flat earthers trying to debunk NASA or something. They'll grab the most simple, brain-dead argument that apparently all these government NASA figures couldn't figure out how to patch up. Oh my god.
I mean, at least, when they try to prove that space is fake, I love how they do it. They expose a global conspiracy without leaving their armchairs.
And
that's my favorite part of it.
Okay, so they say these people are trying to hide the flat earth truth. But then they go on and say that proof of the flat earth is that in United Nations logo, they indicate a flat earth. What the?
Mr. Unite is trying to give some science here. He can use CGI to prove light is actually unicorn hair.
All right. Moving on.
Overhead.
You're the voice
same
of science.
Try this experiment.
Splaying out. So this is the example of the faraway sun. That the rays, this is what we should experience coming through the clouds. The rays from a sun that's almost 1 million miles in diameter and 93 million miles away, when those rays get here, they should be parallel and dead straight.
Right, but boats disappear over the horizon because of perspective. Right, got it.
Yeah.
Works
and
in one
that
case.
whole atmosphere thing.
Yeah, it works in one case, not in others. Got it.
Yeah, but that's complicated stuff. You have to stick with the simple, intuitive, businessman bullshit, okay? Right? You never want to make your arguments rigorous. You never want to make them... I've been constantly complained to be just trying to brainwash you with words. I think actually it'd be for preaching impersonations. Words are hard, okay? And they're like, oh my gosh, look at all the words, okay? When I would write a simple one paragraph response, because they are basically businessmen like Kent Hovind, except worse.
Okay, that is a tough standard to beat.
That's a big hurdle there.
Yeah, definitely.
That is. I mean, at least Kent Hovind knows the Earth is round. Okay, let's give him a little credit.
No, he deserves no credit.
Yeah,
whatsoever.
Absolutely
Especially,
not.
wait, especially not tax credits.
He's a lot of things accidentally.
But in
in
that
the way
Guy
that
got
they
his
work.
degree out of a trailer on the side of the road.
He was
Yeah,
a
I'm
high
pulling
not
drink
even a
I'm pulling drink on the fellow caller, like the
Okay.
fellow person. Yeah.
God.
No.
Okay, guys, remember.
This day and age, that trailer wouldn't even meet the generalized construction codes to be allowed to be parked on the side of the road, let alone
Now,
offer a
true
PhD.
fair,
All right.
Patriot
He probably
University
had
is
to print
not
it at
actually
home.
housed in a trailer.
All
I don't
right.
think they had home printers when he got his rock and sticks PhD.
Okay, temporary
Fair
I'm
break.
pretty sure that he had to go down to the local freaking
Yes,
community center and accept the facsimile by punching in a numerical password that would actually take a human of somewhat intelligence to remember.
All right, temporary break. Hate to do a reprimand mid-show, but we're all gonna play Ethernet for the rest of the show. We're gonna Ethernet. We're gonna listen first and see if we hear anybody talking, and if we do, we're gonna hang out until they're done talking. Then we'll talk. Okay?
You know, someday, SciStrike, we will get this figured out, and we will not talk over each other.
We're going if it doesn't work out Ethernet style, we're gonna go token ring. So, all right, moving on. Here we go.
But we don't see them as dead straight. We see them splaying out or diverging from the clouds. Something's not right.
Okay,
here.
well, maybe you can measure how like measuring the angles of the rays, and you can find out how far away the sun appears to be. How far is it going to be?
Well, this is why I ask because this is an actual phenomenon that I can witness from my backyard. I'm lucky enough to have basically dead empty space from the south side of Denver, Colorado, all the way to Colorado Springs. The dam at Chatfield Reservoir blocks my view of Castle Rock, so I don't get any of their light. But when there are certain storm formations that form over Colorado Springs in Colorado, the earth shine from them and their lights and all of that light pollution, you get inverse crepuscular rays. So does that mean that I can calculate the distance from the clouds to the earth
Yes.
from inverse crepuscular rays? Because no, I actually cannot. It's wrong when I run the numbers based upon flat earth math. It is wrong.
Wait. Okay, are we calling? Does flat Earth have the title to be called math? Like, let's
No,
be honest.
they-
I mean,
I
they
don't even-
demonize math. They demonize that thing.
Well, of course, math is their devil.
Well, yeah, because it's like the
I mean, it
strictest,
undoes
most rigorous
reality.
way of proving. Yeah.
It's
Well,
funny because whenever they try to use math to prove that things should be under the curve or whatever, they use the wrong math, and then as soon as math disproves them, they immediately say, "Oh, math is just a lie, part of the conspiracy."
Yeah, the moment
they
you
will-
start
they-
calling calculus the rigorously proven subject false is the moment you have lost all sense of rationality.
They will mold math into whatever they need to help their position.
So they give up at geometry?
Basically,
Yeah,
yes, they
actually,
do.
They quite frequently have.
They give up at triangles, the most simple geometry out there.
Yeah, don't forget about
And
that.
straight lines.
Yeah, because
Yeah, basically.
of course my experience with Betty Van Velsen on G+ was that she did not understand the hypotenuse or the whatever the other sides
Oh
were.
god, did they not remember
About-
A squared plus B squared equals C squared? Because so that's insulting.
No, she didn't understand the inverse tangent
Hey.
formula.
Wait. Oh, okay. I thought you were
C
going to say
squared can get C squared can get very confusing for certain people. They see the letter C, they think colors, they think the color orange, carrots, that works with C. They get their heads stuck in the ground and they don't know where to go.
Okay. On that note, since we are a grand total of 2 minutes and 48 seconds into this 20-minute video, I'm going to hit play. Here we go.
Okay, here I am inside. Notice I got my light close. Look at already you can see the light splaying out. You see that? I drew you can see the circles on the floor and on my piece of cardboard actually. Those are the original size of the holes that when I was outside they lined.
Andy, you're up.
I just have one question. What booze do you make out of carrots? Because this guy's head is stuck further in the ground than every carrot that's ever grown in my garden.
I don't think that's been tried.
If this was a chat, I think you'd win. Okay.
I know people make cake out of carrots, and I don't know why that is, but you've got to be able to make some kind of booze out of carrots.
Anything with sugars, absolutely. All right, there we go.
That's all I had. Sorry, it was just a joke.
Completely splaying
Good
out.
enough.
And if I put the rays on it like this,
honestly, this part's crap anyway. The basic assertion is if you can reproduce something that is similar to an effect you witness, the cause must also be the same cause for the effect that you witnessed. So this is all crap anyway. Don't even worry about it. Here we go.
Sun rays, and that's not even as splayed out as they got. It's just that the cloud is in view, and I want you to be able to see the cloud, which is my cardboard with the holes cut out of it.
Yeah,
that way I could line up.
You can measure how far away the cardboard is, or how high the cloud is, and then you can measure how high the sun would be. But it would be like what? It would be what? 10 kilometers above the sun? The sun would be like 10 kilometers above.
If we were the sort to be using memes like every flat earther ever, we could put up the one that has look, the sun's caught in this tree, look, the sun's outside the church window. that was always one of my favorites. All right, there we go.
Someone in the chat has a good point there that carrot vodka make you blind drunk but improve your eyesight.
Yes, I was noticing that too. Still good for your eyesight.
All right, look at actually, that is a good one. You know what? What do you think? Should we call that a winner for the mitt?
Winner.
That might be a winner.
Let me. All right, let me add you to the list so I don't forget. You talk amongst yourselves.
Question for Cara.
Converse.
All right.
Quick question for Cara.
42.
If we continue with the O-Face game this evening, will you or will you not be offended?
Did I hear that crap?
For fuck's sake, it's not that funny.
Or will you win the O-Face game for calling all of us out?
If you can somehow make these,
I think I missed something. Like,
if you can,
O-Face?
You're unfamiliar with it. Okay, first off, it was by popular demand. I didn't just decide to wedge it into last week's show. It was by popular demand.
We were a rabble.
Yeah. You're unfamiliar with the O-Face game.
Yeah, I've been out of touch. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you've been busy. I understand. It's we play video, and the person whose turn it is will randomly or at a time of their choosing yell stop, and if the person appears to have, how to put this politely,
a no-face.
Yeah, finished, then they are declared a winner. This is usually this happens.
Sadistic, perverse, and juvenile pleasure in such a circumstance.
Yes, this happens usually at the very ending of shows after much alcohol has been consumed. Okay,
so there was this one thing I did want to get out there.
Yes.
Wait, sorry, were we going to finish talking, or?
Oh, that was it. I was just explaining what the O-Face game was because Cara was lucky enough to miss it.
Okay, well, I did come across.
Unfortunately, the O-Face is difficult to get from the paper plates.
Yeah, there was this tweet I came across recently that where this guy posted an image of the wall of the ice wall from Game of Thrones, and he posted it to a bunch of flat earthers on Twitter, and they actually believed it was real. I'm not joking.
Nice.
Fucking glorious. I love it.
Well, isn't Jaren in the first stage of White Walker as it is?
Okay, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Game of Thrones.
No, I'm lost.
It's
All right, you know
part
what?
of our culture, damn it. You know, like
All right.
Cootie.
Who would
That
know?
was like,
Who would know? Eet would know. Eet, was that funny?
it was amazingly funny, but I
Okay.
muted my mic because I got tired of being scolded by Cal because evidently it ain't that funny. Cal keeps texting me angry face emojis, and I don't know how to respond.
That's a lot of bullshit. What the fuck?
Oh, this is getting great. Where's my popcorn? Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
So
it's
has he
basically-
explained
This is how you get your
why the
podcast to work, infighting?
infighting on the right are pointing straight down parallel?
I think we should continue.
All right, we'll continue. Here we go. And remember, Ethernet, guys. Here we go.
But as you can see, when I moved up a little bit off the floor and put the light even closer, the rays really splayed out. So I just wanted you to see that.
And we've seen. Move on.
Okay, so there you go. There's hard evidence that when the light source is close to the clouds, the light will diverge. The dispersion pattern you can see when I was outside, the dispersion pattern remained the same, meaning the 5 holes that I had.
Atmospheric
like that.
Have we not
stayed
been
exactly
over
the
this
same, and
already?
that's
It's
a faraway
atmospheric
light source.
refraction. My
But when
God.
the light source
I
was
think he's
close, they
confusing
splay
the
out.
word evidence with coincidence.
Could
Since
be.
they both end in is.
Could be.
The big words
Has this
fuck them up.
doc ever explained how far away he
Okay, I have ultimate. Actually, I have ultimate disproof that Pluto actually doesn't exist in all space and space, right? If you look really closely at Pluto, you see like a dog, right? And what? Okay, what other dog has the name Pluto? Okay.
Pluto.
Yeah, Pluto from Disney, the evil brainwashing channel. You would not believe the amount of posts I have been imparted from flat earthers. It's like their new favorite tool, and they just gobble it up. Oh my god! Like they'll swallow that shit. I'm getting too angry. Guys, let's go.
It happens. We're moving on. And
ever explained how far away he thinks the sun is? Has he given like a number to it at some point?
in this particular,
3,000
no.
miles.
Cool, yeah, well, that's the common.
Then they never specify how far away it is, because if they give numbers, people are just going to use their numbers against them. If the flat earthers are correct,
Well, actually, I'm trying to reconsider something they can't. Well, that they don't want to give a number. I actually think they can. Well, I mean, they can't even make one up. Like, I would be too scary. It would be too many words.
If they
It would be
numbers,
advanced. Okay, right. Words scare them. Numbers scare them even more.
no, like we know shoelaces scare them because they can't
This
tie
is-
them.
What if we show her what the speed of light is? What if we show Peach what the speed of light is? Her mind might explode into the nothingness that it is.
But let me just put it this way, right? If flat earthers are correct, if the Earth really is flat and if the sun really is close, and us globers are just all brainwashed, whatever. Here's the thing: if they are the future, if the flat Earth movement is the future, then they better get working on that fucking model and actually talk about how far away the sun is.
Well, no. If flat Earth is the future, then we're all fucked. Okay. It's as simple as that.
That is true, and I don't think any detailed model is forthcoming because it would be too easily picked apart. They say we're still working on a model. No, they're not, because if they produce a model, any one of them with even the slightest bit of awareness knows that it would be picked apart immediately. So no, don't expect a functional model.
Whenever have you ever gone to the Flat Earth Society and wander into what models they've tried to use?
No, I used to go on that website all the time. I prefer to avoid it because it's actually filled with more pros than YouTube. So
that sounds like fun. Actually.
And also, it is a little bit of fun. But the flat earthers there actually believe that gravity is caused by the disk moving upwards and not just air density. So the flat earthers on YouTube say that that Flat Earth Society website is a disinfo website. So I prefer to avoid it. I used to go on all the time.
Oh yeah, Fino made a point about like how 3,000 miles is ridiculous. But the thing was that close, if we use our spooky, scary, projective geometry again, the actual thing for perspective that would scare them away, right? as the sun would move farther, it would get smaller. We don't bloody see this.
Yeah.
Additionally, we can consider, right, the closer we get to the x-axis. Okay, the thing about, like, how should I explain this? Okay, let's just say this, right? It would change acceleration as it moves around the circle because if we look at like in calculus, right, you would have, right, a change in the x position, a change in the y position. They would change over time. So we would
Uncomfortably Numb has reminded us that the whole video looks kind of like an infomercial for a state-of-the-art shower head.
But remember, it's not stated.
All right,
as seen on TV.
And I thought using the Sprite bottle as a freaking shower head was bad.
I'm amazed.
Okay, this guy doesn't get wet at all. If you hate water, use the light shower.
All right.
Okay, this sort of guy doesn't even deserve the mean. I'm an engineer. Trust me. Okay.
All right, guys. Uncomfortably Numb. I think I'm gonna have to call that another win. What do you guys think?
I like that one. The state-of-the-art shower.
I do like that. Okay. We have all right. We have congratulations. We have a second win.
All right. Before continuing on, I do have a question I would like to ask, and it's not about making fun of flat earthers, but an actual serious question.
Oh wow. Okay. Give it a shot.
I know. It's a little odd.
Come on, give
kind
it to
of out
us.
of place. Cara,
Oh, me again.
you still with us?
Barely.
Would you
but,
be?
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Would you be interested with the awesome work that you did with Soundly and all of the animation software that you were using? I'm unfamiliar with, but it's absolutely phenomenal in my opinion, and I think you've done an absolutely great job. And I was wondering, with the eclipse coming up and knowing that we happen to be right here, a group of individuals splayed across the world, awesome little globe we live on, what would you think about taking information and data from those of us that are moving into totality and those of us that will not be in totality and building a rendering of that?
Building and rendering.
Cara
In what
says-
regard?
Cara says, "Great, more work, thanks."
I'm not saying do more work. I'm just, obviously, okay, so when I'm up in Jackson Hole, Wyoming in 2 weeks, well, 2 weeks and 2 days, and I'm looking at totality, when do I see it versus when does somebody else in North Carolina see it? And how can we re-represent that in a model based upon the actual footage that we're taking with hopefully your help, because you're obviously really, really good with the software you use. And would you be interested in doing something like that?
So how does the spot feel, Cara? Just wondering.
I mean, I can help. I'll be in totality, taking my own data. So.
Yeah, the cool
Well,
part
there you
about
go.
it is,
There's the third, fourth, hopefully fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth point of we're in totality. When does totality occur for you? When does a totality occur for me? When does,
cool thing is
Maybe
that could be
do a
modeled.
side by side with one
I
as
think
a globe Earth
the
model and
parallax.
one's flat.
I think parallax is one of the best examples. If you can synchronize two people, and I'm seeing totality while you're seeing half an eclipse. That's a measurable distance between the two people, and you can measure the parallax and all the distances, or most of them. Or
Okay.
roughly, if you know one measurement, you can figure out the others.
Absolutely. Hence why I asked, would you be interested in working on a project
I'll give it
like
a go.
that throughout the? I mean,
I probably would anyway.
I don't know if I'll be around for the next eclipse. So this one's pretty much my shot at making sure that I'm in totality, and I just think it'd be fun to sit down and be able to do This is not a university. This is not a scientific think tank. This is just people doing what people can do. And it's awesome what we can do.
Emma, you can't win
I agree.
again.
All right, I'm done.
Sorry, Emma
I don't even do my own taxes.
Emma had a good comment. Okay.
I can't actually see anyone's comments, but...
Oh, I'm doing the screen
Slacker.
share. Can you...
Oh, no, I can see the screen. Ever since I tripped over my dog and broke my laptop, I've been out of laptop and...
Oh, small screen. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Oh, sorry then. All right, so if there's anything really hilarious, we'll tell you. Okay. Let's get back to there was a little bit of intelligent conversation. Let us get back to the stupid before we all get too used to intelligent conversation. Here we go.
Wait, do we get used to intelligent conversations? Do we really? I mean, we are the people that have, do a daily debate with Flat Earth. Do we really have intelligent conversations?
Okay.
We would like to, certainly, but we really honestly can't, can we?
I got to call Drake. Just look what it says on the screen.
Hail for demonstration purposes only. That one is sublime.
That's beautiful. Okay, so it's not the scale. Good. Thanks for clearing that up for me.
Send that man an oven mitt, Si.
You flat Earth genius, you. That's great. Okay, here we go.
Flat Earth model of a small, close sun.
That's not the way light works. Oh my fucking god.
That science makes, and Wikipedia makes.
Will someone hit this guy in the face with a telescope, please?
That they're actually very close to parallel lines for all.
Telescopes.
Oh wait, he's getting into something that might actually have the a better representation of distances. Let's see what the hell he's up to here. Let's back this up a second. Yes, I know it's going to be
too many high expectations.
I know it's going to be crap, but all right, here we go.
Does anybody else remember that Mad TV skit, Lowered Expectations?
I do not.
They used a really similar graphic to this, too.
All right, here we go. For real this time.
It makes that the crepuscular rays are due to perspective, that they're actually very close to parallel lines. For all intents and purposes, they are parallel, coming from a sun that's almost 1 million miles in diameter, but we don't see them parallel coming through the clouds.
Yep, parallel, like train tracks. Remember what you guys said about train tracks? Remember? Perspective? All right, here we go.
Those crepuscular rays are angled outward. They splay out. They're diverging from the clouds. And Wikipedia is saying that that's due to perspective. And Wikipedia also uses...
Oh, tracks! He's got the tracks! Look, this proves this proves that the far away over there is close.
Yeah.
See, because
clearly, if you go down to the end of the track, they're going to meet.
Yes, it's crepuscular tracks.
Yeah.
This is railroad tracks like these. And they say, see how these converge at your horizon, or they diverge from the perspective of the sun outward, and they're saying that that's what's going on here. Okay, so we need
misnomer.
Notice in this long hallway, all parallel lines and planes angle to the eye level or the eye position of the observer.
This is helping his argument.
Again with
this is a misnomer. This is not actually what in the world you see when it comes to the cosmos. You're talking about looking down a dark hallway. That is not the universe. Sorry, you might want to think you live in the Matrix, but you don't. You live in the universe.
Drink 2.0,
Cara.
just quickly. If you were to place the sun at the end of this hallway, ta-da, it works.
Okay, that is true. It would.
Well,
You know, if you place the sun at the end of that hallway, I'm fucking dead.
Well, it doesn't matter how far away it is. I'm just pointing out that that's where the vanishing point is. The sun becomes the vanishing point.
And it's
because
not
all parallel rays are going toward that point.
Yes,
indeed.
So that's where you put the vanishing point.
Isn't
And
like
voila, everything works.
And it is not necessarily representative of reality because we can reproduce the effect. But, all right.
Well, if you put the sun at the end of the hallway, it would only be for representative
But all lines should be going toward the sun. That's the point.
But we can't place a.
Well, I want to know,
would not be
when they
parallel.
took the picture of this hallway, were they using a wide-angle lens? Because you got both walls. That kind of looks like a wide-angle lens shot to me.
Yep, debunked.
Okay. And
Okay, well, yeah, but I mean, they are using like a model to try to show, how convergence of parallel lines works, despite their failure at attempting to understand it. Because you can't place a freaking sun in your basement, okay? It doesn't work that way.
And suns don't shine like flashlights all in one direction.
Yeah, they don't like they're there too.
All right, here we go.
Angle in,
They
those are parallel
shine in all
lines to
directions,
one another,
and
and
typically
the
for the
ceiling
most
and the
part,
floor are
as
also parallel, but
demonstration,
notice
you
how
can
they angle toward
explain
each
the
other,
moon
and they
phases
come to your
by
eye
using it
line,
as a
right?
spotlight
You have
because
an
that's
X,
basically
Y,
all
and
that
Z
matters.
axis.
But
So the railroad
whatever.
tracks would fit your Z axis.
Don't
That's
expect them to understand the definition of model.
All right, he's getting into a little more detail here. Let's see what he has to
Oh
say.
my gosh, he has the graph with X,
Put his
Y, and Z. He must know
That's right.
what he's talking about. Okay.
Indeed.
And then when you link him to the actual thing, as I just did.
All right, here we go.
away from you, and those lines, yes, they converge. But the sun, and especially when the sun's overhead, would be bombarding us with huge vertical parallel lines, or rays, parallel
Except they
rays.
aren't overhead. They aren't directly overhead. Okay.
Why would they be
They're
vertical?
still facing towards you. Oh my God, I'm getting angry at a.
It's happened. We understand. It's happened before.
Bite your tongue.
He's
Bite your fucking tongue.
No, now it's now bleeding. Thanks a lot. Okay.
If he would stop talking about the
Bite
sun,
harder.
Oh, thanks.
If he would stop talking about the sun, if he would just leave that out, he might actually understand. And who knows? He might be a poet. He might understand. But if he were to forget about the sun, just think about how far the break in the clouds is from where you're observing it, and how much divergence you would see, like you do with the train tracks, from that point. Forget about the sun until you establish that. And I suspect it would come out to be pretty close to the same convergence you would see, based on distance. And then once you understand that, then you can extrapolate. Well, are they really parallel rays?
If I lay out railroad tracks towards him and I have to go downhill to hit him with the train, right? Will you start thinking, right, that you won't see this type of convergence behavior of the railroad tracks?
It seems
that
to be a
depends
glaring
on how
point.
fast whatever portion of whatever it is that hits him.
All right.
It'll become more distorted than a wide lens, wide angle lens.
So-
Words are hard, okay?
Again, another, I think, hopefully decent question. Now that you've worked out your solar filters, SciStrike, what do you think about, obviously you're a couple of hours east of me.
Indeed.
Film the sunrise with your solar filter. I'll film the sunrise with my solar filter.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's pretty much all it takes.
Okay. I don't see why not.
I mean, the giant-ass sunspot is still a pretty obvious clue that we're looking at the same star. Yeah, one we circle around and all, so it should be pretty easy to... Hey, look, same star.
Indeed.
The big-ass one we go around. Couple of hours difference. Anybody else want in?
But actually, we've got quite a group. It's not, and it's actually outside of just us. I believe with all of our contacts, we've got about 16 people all over the damn place. But anyway.
Well, I don't know who all has got solar filters on their cameras, let alone homemade solar filters.
Indeed. All right. Yes, we most definitely should do that. We're gonna have to be NASA put out the what things you should bring with you just to make sure nobody calls bullshit on your pictures and videos. And they said a newspaper from that day would be handy. So you can show the date and all that. I'm actually surprised that because that's actually an oblique reference to some conspiracy theorists calling bullshit on your pictures and videos because they'll say, "Oh, that could have been any time."
But, shells.
Yep.
Indeed. All right. Okay. Back to the this guy.
We don't see any of that ever. So what I'm going to show you here is that this claim that these corpuscular rays is due to...
Okay, how do you know you're not seeing parallel rays? What makes you think they're coming? What makes you think they're coming straight down and that?
That's what I'm getting at. Why does he always assume they have to be parallel?
Yeah, and
The sun doesn't shine like a mechanic's light hanging over the fucking Earth.
Well, but I mean, yes, there's.
And parallel to what? In order for something to be parallel, you have to have a line of sight that you're stating this thing is parallel to.
Exactly.
Well, yeah,
Parallel itself is not a. It's not a feature that it just exists. It's a feature that exists in reference to another thing that exists.
Well, yeah, he's saying the reference to that thing. He's saying that you can have two things that are parallel with each other.
Yeah,
so that's
the
what
rays.
He's, trying to say.
He's talking about the rays being parallel to each other. So, yeah, and yes, except for the fact that the sun is not a single isotropic radiator. It's not a point source. It has, from our view, it has a width. So yes, there is some non-parallel activity going on, but for the most part, yes, we get parallel rays from that distance. And his assumption that they should all be coming straight down all the time is ridiculous, completely ignoring the fact that the crack in the clouds is a substantial distance from where you're standing, and if the light happens to be coming towards you, there's your damn railroad tracks in the sky. All right.
I'm actually trying to wonder, will something ever new come out of this guy's mouth?
No.
No. The guy doesn't even understand what parallel means.
Oh god, that's 101s, eh? Well, remember, he's in that advanced non-Euclidean geometry, so...
He also seems to think anytime the sun is shining through the clouds that the sun is at zenith, which is kind of stupid.
That's what he's getting at every time. He says it's always at like high noon, pretty much.
Similar to their hotspot argument that the sun has to be directly over where that spot is and that's not the angle that it's reflecting towards you. So that's... And if that was the case, yes, their arguments would work, but it's not. All right, here we go.
Perspective is not true. It's impossible because perspective will not converge or diverge or splay out lines or planes that are parallel to one another that are perpendicular to the viewer.
What was that?
This is how vomit is made.
What that are perpendicular?
He's proving himself wrong. Sorry.
Well, no. That's a good point. But you know what? The last thing he said that are perpendicular to the viewer. That's what we were just saying. Did he say those lines at the end there? Okay, never mind.
Yeah, he's saying. I thought he was saying the two green lines are perpendicular, in that case I would have gone full road rage mode. Okay.
He's saying that the lines that are being observed, the rays coming down from the clouds, he's saying that perspective would not come into effect if they're perpendicular to the viewer, the plane of the viewer, and that's what Cara was saying earlier. Is that he's once again assuming that the sun it's coming straight down instead of towards the observer.
When it really isn't.
So
I'm pretty sure this guy wouldn't even know how to tell a rhombus from a rectangle if you hit him in the head with it.
Could be, but this makes it this argument that he just made here with the perpendicular. That's exactly what Cara was saying earlier. Is that he's assuming that the rays.
It wasn't that clever of a joke, but just the simple, blunt honesty, and I guess tonality of that joke. It just nailed it.
Indeed. All right.
Well, as we all know, the sun is always directly overhead all of the time. Haven't you ever seen that? Isn't that obvious?
Well, yeah, right. Well, I mean, at least it should be all. It's probably like always overhead Jesus is, but I'm not sure about you.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen those pictures?
All right.
I mean, good God, I'm Catholic and I know better.
All right, here we go.
Fino has brought up. Yeah, Bad Astronomy put up a nice picture of it. It was up on his website. Of corpuscular rays looked at from above. See, they're all parallel.
Yes, parallel to whatever line you draw next to them.
Nim's comment, I think it's just amazing.
Wait, which comment?
Nim's.
All right, moving on.
Z-axis. Okay, so like in this picture of the railroad tracks here, the line's going away from you. That's I did with the green line. That's the railroad track. That's obvious. And right from the get-go, they start to converge. Now those are parallel lines, but yet we never see them as parallel. They're always converging as they go.
Okay, Andy.
Okay, oh my god, I can't believe I actually have to say this. As a manufacturing engineer and dealing with people that are completely incapable of actually recognizing what it is that the word parallel, let alone what the word perpendicular means, those lines are not parallel due to perspective. They're in fact anything but parallel, and if you're going to try and tell me that a railroad track has one rail that is parallel to the other, I would like you to be the first person in the entire world and the entire existence of railways to sit down and engineer a rail cart that does not need suspension, because those rails are actually parallel to one another, when in fact they never have been, never will be. That's a fucking lie.
Wait, you lost me. A straight line of track, a straight line of track with no curves or anything like that. How would they would be parallel? Would they not? I mean, they're Jesus.
No, they're actually not parallel.
Is that the deflection of the weight on them? Is that what you're talking about?
It's not even actually the deflection of the weight. It's their simple matter of existence. They are incapable of being exactly parallel. They are close to, but never actually parallel.
All right, but practically speaking,
every single steel beam that's ever been produced has never been the same as the steel beam produced prior to its existence. There is no such thing as a man-made object that can be parallel to another man-made object. It doesn't exist.
Okay, calling halt. We're getting down to the microscopic level there.
Literally, on a railroad track, it's not the...
For practical purposes,
and there's no such thing as a perfect circle.
Yes, for practical purposes.
Outside of that, I know I'm being analytically an asshole and anal retentive, and I will accept that. But
they're parallel.
When it comes to a railroad track, you cannot actually have two beams transversing our planet that are parallel. That's just not something that happens.
Well,
they can be close.
They kind of by average, don't they?
But they don't actually wind up being parallel structures that exist. It's just not natural. It's not the way of the world. They don't happen that way. They're close.
Yeah, but nothing this guy says is real.
They're similar. Yes.
But
they are not actual parallel beams.
Quite often, when you do physics, you use like free body diagrams, right? But when you actually look at it, it's not going to be a continuous spectrum from left side to right side, because it can't be, right? It's just simply a model that's meant to demonstrate what it needs to be. You isolate out what you don't need, and then you just go ahead and make your point of what it needs to be.
Ultimately, we need to be trying to debunk the flat Earth with something even more insane rather than going in the direction of reality.
First, we're going to have to come up with something more insane. All right, and
Pyramid Earth.
And from Pyramid Earth.
Time cube.
I'm sorry, I go off on weird tangents sometimes. When you deal with daily tolerances of plus or minus a couple of 10,000ths of an inch, you hear someone say parallel, you hear someone say flat, perpendicular, you hear certain words, and they do actually trigger that little engineer that sits down and is like, you fucking dumbass.
Well, we're not.
You don't even know what that word actually means in my world. In my world, you say parallel, I'm expecting there to be a measurement within 10,000ths of an inch, within microns.
Don't make me
because that's the world I work in. So
don't make me
sorry.
mute you,
You're right. I'm anal retentive. I'm over the top with tolerances.
I
my apologies.
My finger's on the mute button right now, Andy.
I'm done. I'm done.
Anyway, all right. In the real world, we've established that if we're not going from the inner edge atom's nucleus to the inner edge atom's nucleus directly
Quarks.
opposed, if we're not using that as our measurement, they're parallel. All right, we're moving on.
Yeah, Sci was like, I can get in on this game too.
Here we go.
Away from you. Now, the black holes that I have going down the side of the railroad tracks are also parallel lines to one another. But notice that they stay parallel. They don't lose their parallel orientation.
Unless you extended them upward and looked up.
They may get shorter and they get smaller, that's true. They do have a sort of a convergence, but they don't change their parallel orientation, these vertical lines, because they're perpendicular to you. Now, this is why invoking perspective to explain the crepuscular rays doesn't work, because perspective does not splay out these vertical lines, yet whenever the sun...
Okay, hold. I'm calling Drake on this one. Is he saying that vertical lines do not experience perspective is not observed if the lines you're looking at happen to be going up instead of out in front of you? It sounds like that's what he's saying.
Until you look up, of course.
Well, yeah, but all right.
Is overhead, we should see vertical parallel rays everywhere, and yet we don't see them. So perspective as an explanation for this is invalid.
Is that what he expects to see?
Yes, that's what he was saying. That's what I thought he was saying.
This image should look like the other one.
Yeah,
that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I was hoping you were right in that he was saying, if you change your viewing angle, then these lines going up would also experience perspective. But he's not. From what he said just after that, it sounds like he's saying no, vertical lines, nope, no perspective. Perspective is only straight out in a horizontal direction. Okay, this is getting weirder.
Just wow.
Yeah, it's getting weirder.
Drink and wow.
Yeah, that was almost a multi-drink moment. There we go.
Wow, that makes me drink.
But, what we see is the rays emanating from this omnidirectional sun. The rays fit the size of the sun, and the angles of the rays off the sun also fit the size of the sun and the shape of the sun. But they shouldn't fit the size of the sun if the sun is in fact almost 1 million miles in diameter and 93 million miles away.
If I extend my slide rule as far as it can go, I'm pretty sure I can still hit this guy in the face without leaving my chair.
Now explain for the youngins what a slide rule is.
Oh, I think everybody knows what a slide rule is.
It's an ancient tool of measurement, and I'm pretty young. Slide the thing up and down. It has correlated answers for logarithms, multiplication. Okay, I'm really young and understand this. Okay, don't need to explain. Let's get going.
I beg your pardon, ancient tool. Hold on, I've got one right here on top of my reel-to-reel. Okay.
I was going to say, I'm not ancient. I am nowhere near ancient.
Okay, it's like, it's ancient compared to the freaking TI titanium graphing calculator that is still considered ancient in graphing calculator world. So, whatever.
All right. Here we go.
The sun's small. So that's telling us that the sun is in fact close. Okay, and let's go back to what Wikipedia said. Wikipedia says that the rays from the sun are in fact parallel lines, but we don't see them that way because of perspective. Perspective splays them out. Okay, look at this picture. I put these rays in. Okay, so this is what's really going on, Wikipedia says. They say the rays are really parallel, and they would be from a 1 million mile diameter sun. But this is what our eyes do through perspective.
I'm getting my slide rule out.
Okay, here's my one.
He's still not getting it.
It would have bonus damage due to the numbers, don't forget. Bonus!
They say this is how they really are. They're vertical and they're parallel, but our eyes splay them out like this.
If they're coming towards you, yes, that's what's happening. Yes.
Okay,
all right.
So then...
Yes?
It's a measure state of the face.
Wait, what do we got here?
Is this like supposed to be like a joke or something?
Is he like taking fucking atmosphere into consideration at all? Not even a bit.
Well, so let's what could this possibly? Let's see. All right, let's see what he has to say about this.
I'm not sure what this could lead to.
To take these telephone poles and splay them out like this.
Jackass.
We don't see that, do we?
No,
Why
not
do
long
they take
enough.
these buildings and splay them out.
Oh my
See, he is. He's saying
His
perfect.
analogies are
What
horrible.
the fuck is?
You know,
What is this guy thinking?
is he trying to like repeat Inception, or is he trying to display stupidity? I can't tell.
I don't know.
It's as if by repetition he can convince the world that perspective only works in the forward direction, parallel to the ground. Up, no. Any other angle, no.
Those towers are perpendicular to you. They're not pointed towards
Plus, shouldn't they be
you
tilted
in
the other
any
way
shape or
towards
way.
that point in the middle?
This is.
They should actually be pointed away in such a fashion that you would never know they were pointed away because, yeah,
he's
our
trying to-
eyes are pretty awesome, but our eyes are not spectroscopy
No, his point
machines.
here is he's thinking that this is somehow even identically, even like remotely close to the words are hard, okay, crepuscular rays, and so he's trying to point them inwards. When they should not be because he's using misdirecting. Okay, let's go.
All right. Before it scrolls off the screen, take a look at Paulogia's. Paul's got made mention of the Globe Observer app for your phone from NASA. It is a cool app. It's one that's been around for a while for to record temperatures, cloud conditions, all that cloud cover conditions, and all that sort of thing. But they're going to be collecting data during the eclipse as well. It's Globe Observer. It's a NASA app. It's on iPhones and Android as well. I suggest you get it. It's fairly cool and useful, and you get to contribute to the advancement of humanity. How cool is that? All right.
Yeah, don't let too much of that science stuff slip into our discussion here. It's going to give us a swelled head.
Yeah, we don't want that kind of crap
The
on a science
advancement
show.
of the globe.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, man, I'm just trying to get my shield check. I still haven't seen the damn thing. Okay, moving on. Yes.
So I found an image of sun rays where the sun is actually above the clouds. You know, parallel rays. My XSplit isn't working. If I were to send you a picture, would you be able to show it?
Can you just actually? I can just show your. If you just do present, I can show your screen. If you want. Let's see.
Oh, of course, after I close the image.
Let me make sure.
You have a demon? Wow.
There we go.
Okay, share screen.
It says
How do I?
very tiny print.
I don't get how to share screens in this.
Oh,
don't worry. Okay.
Oh, here it is.
You got it?
Sentence dead. Yes.
Yeah, it was not nearly as embarrassing as me looking for an atheist Rex's debate.
There we go.
So yeah. So when the sun is actually, near zenith, you do get parallel freaking rays, just like you expect.
Almost like his picture. Almost like his picture. And he assumes that it's always coming straight down and is still splayed out.
Yeah. So even at sunset, apparently, you're supposed to see this.
Yes.
Hey, our little guy does not take into account the time of day that the Pikachu was made, as if that didn't actually alter the dynamics of his alleged experiment.
So, SciStrike, you're going to have to present again. It steals the presentation when I do it.
All right, here we go. That's we got it. Everyone, that's cool. Okay, back to here we go. We will now let the foolishness continue, and we're almost halfway through this embarrassment. Here we go.
Like this. They're vertical and they're parallel. Well, because what we see, the crepuscular rays, is not due to perspective. It's just due to the nature of an omnidirectional light source with the light coming out in all directions. And it's coming from a small sun. It's impossible that this sun is 1 million miles in diameter, as I've already showed you.
I don't remember being.
It's impossible that this flat earther has a brain.
Wait, the flat earth has a brain? No, it's impossible a flat earther has a brain, okay?
Indeed.
It was put in backwards, that's the problem.
Okay, they switch that out for... Okay, I feel bad for quarks. If they live in a 0 dimension, and flat earthers at least get, more than that, because, not joking at all, they have poor quirks.
All right, here we go.
So then if it's not perspective, these crepuscular rays are not due to perspective as.
Okay, so if it's not perspective,
Yes, they
then
are.
that was his argument. If it's not perspective, then these are not due to perspective. Okay, you know what? That would be a valid statement. Except
he doesn't understand. It's very dependent on the angle of where the thing's pointing. So here, clearly, rays are pointing kind of towards us. The building's not so much. Okay,
although if you were to look up,
crashing into them would not be nearly as easy.
if you were to stand between two of those buildings and look up, you would, some of the taller ones, you would definitely see the effects of perspective. So, all right.
Wikipedia and.
Is it just me, or is this guy annoying as hell?
A little bit.
Yeah. All right. Here we go.
It's a
Science
flat
in
earther.
general claims they are.
Yeah.
Then
yeah,
what
good
are
point.
they?
It's redundant.
Well, it's very simple. All they are is radially propagated light, or another way of saying it, light rays emanating out from a common center, like the sun.
Drink.
or
Okay,
any
great.
light.
Can I acknowledge RJ here?
Sure.
Okay, go on. I just wanted to do the dumps.
That was all right.
And I understand that the light rays coming off the sun looks like perspective. It shares the common trait where, with perspective, all the lines and planes converge at a point in the distance called your vanishing point. The sun also has that look, where looks like the rays all converge at a point in the center of the light. Actually, the light rays are emanating out from a common center, but I can understand how they look alike, but they're not the same. Okay, That's all it is. And so, as we've already proved, that perspective can't explain the corpuscular rays.
This is what he expects. Wow.
Yeah, I kind of thought that when he showed the vertical lines drawn next to the train tracks. I thought that's where he was going with that, but I was hoping not. Apparently, that's the case. The sun only shines through the clouds when it's directly over them and straight down.
Drink to that. I'm sorry I didn't say drink, but yeah, drink to that, because holy crap, this is what he expects. So he's showing a sunrise, and he expects these rays to be perfectly vertical.
Actually, maybe
it's absolutely insane. It's insane.
Maybe he's putting his own blinders on.
No, he's just insane.
Insanity, of course.
Simple. Cara, you may be right. That proposition does seem to fit what we've heard so far. All right, here we go. And if it's just repetition after this point, we're halfway through. If it is just more repetition, I think we're gonna have to kill this. Let's let it go a little bit longer now. Here we go.
Because where are all the vertical parallel sun rays then? They don't exist. Okay, so next I'm going to show you with streetlights and sunlight and how they look exactly alike. Okay, let's take a look at some light rays. Let's look at how the sun and a street lamp look the same.
What?
Holy shit!
Oh my god!
I'm convinced.
There we have it. Proof.
I'm convinced.
Apparently, he doesn't know that distance and size can kind of counteract each other.
And the glare.
You can have a small object that's I'm just getting mad, right? Small object costs medium distance away for your street lamp, will look about the same size as a really, 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 really big object that you couldn't place in your basement as a model. That's really, really far away.
And in this image, we're saying the glare looks the same in both cases. Therefore,
wait, isn't there a glare on that?
Therefore, the sun is about as high as a telephone pole.
Right.
All right. This is pretty much conclusive proof. All right.
On the left is a street light, and the one on the right is the sun. Okay, notice that the light source and the rays match one another. And with the street light, that light is here on Earth, right? It's right there on your street. And those rays look in proportion to that light. They're also here, right? On your street or wherever you see that light. The sun, they're telling us, is actually far away, but the light rays are close. Like when we see these...
Okay, Cara, you're up.
It's like flat earthers have no concept of, okay, it's a 2D image. You can't judge distance based on a 2D freaking image.
They may be. Perhaps we should send somebody an email. Maybe they're just missing that one point.
Yeah, you have to take, the nature of our eyes, right, typically works by really 2D image. We find depth perception, all that.
We
But
don't
really,
see in
this
3D
situation.
either. We see in 3D. We actually see in 3 dimensions. An image does not give you that.
We don't see in 3 dimensions.
Yes,
Otherwise,
we do.
we'd be.
It's
No, if we don't.
stereoscopic vision. It's 3-dimensional.
No, okay, you are able to perceive depth, right? But you don't actually see 3 dimensions. If we do, we'd be able to see where everyone is, and we would be pedophiles.
What?
right. So
drink on him, and yeah, moving on.
So if you want to get into this, consider. Because if you want to get into this argument, right? Suppose, how should I put this? Suppose you're in a 2-dimensional world, right? And I could see in you'd see in 1 dimension, right? If you see it in 2 dimensions, that won't even be possible.
Well, no. First off, in order to validate what it is that your argument is, you have to define what 3 dimensions is, and what 2 dimensions is, and what 1 dimension is, because the human brain, as far as I've ever been able to witness, is incapable of actually witnessing something outside of our 3 spatial and 1 temporal dimension.
Okay, so 1-dimensional, right, is going to be.
So what is 2-dimensional? Let's start easy. What is 2-dimensional?
2-dimensional has 2 directions. Up and down, left and right. 2 dimensions, up and down, left and right, forward and backward.
Up and down, left and right are the same direction, though.
What?
Up and down and left and right are the same direction relatively.
No, those combined directions.
Okay. Perhaps we should have this conversation at a later date, as opposed to during movie night.
Okay. All right. Here. That being the case, let's move on. Here we go.
Crepuscular rays coming through the clouds. And did you know that streetlights also have crepuscular rays, just like the sun does? And you know what?
No, they don't. No, they don't. Oh my God, this fucking guy.
Have a look. Here on the left,
I know I've been in a little timeout corner.
Are crepuscular rays coming off of
fuck this guy.
And they look identical. They are in the same proportion as our sun and its rays. And you can't say that that's perspective.
Well, how do you know that's not the sun? That may not be a streetlight. That may be the sun stuck in that tree.
That's perspective also.
How odd that light sources act in a similar fashion.
It is pretty shocking. I have to agree.
Yeah.
Because they're right there, and as we've seen, perspective can't explain those rays anyway. So those rays are nothing more than radially propagated light. In other words, it's light coming from a common center. That's all.
For all I know, that streetlight could be 93 million miles away.
God, did this guy really just say radially propagated light?
Well, for the streetlight, that's fairly on, I think. But oh no, what now? Check out these 2 pictures. We're gonna be treated to a repeat of what he just said. Here we go.
And the left one is a street light. The one on the right are the sun rays.
Why don't you show the sun through some
both in proportion to one another. The light source matches its rays.
And in the picture on the right here, does that not indicate that the rays are in fact coming towards you and not straight down? Doesn't this pretty much? I mean, was this not a bad example for him to use?
Not only was it a bad example for him to use, but why don't you sit down and take a full spectrum camera that can actually take more than just the visible light in and give you a quantifiable image, and sit down and go, hey, look, it appears that photons go wherever the flap they want, whenever the flap they want.
Well, yeah, but by virtue of this picture, I would think you'd be able to understand that you are looking at something very similar to what his picture earlier of looking down the railroad tracks said. It's pretty damn similar. You're looking at something at whatever distance, and the divergence would be strangely similar to what you see with the or the convergence. Sorry, would be similar to what you see when you look down the tracks.
Okay, on that end, yes, I do agree. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself, and I think I'm getting ahead of the video itself. My apologies.
Are you injecting intelligence into these videos again, Andy? There'll be none of that.
I have a big problem with people saying light and not recognizing what the entire electromagnetic spectrum is. That bothers me. When I sit down and I build telescopes and I look at the fucking stars, I can't sit down and say, oh, this light is better than this light, or this light is different than this light. No. It's all the electromagnetic spectrum. It doesn't matter how it is that I view it. I can use a hydrogen alpha filter, and I can use modern day electronics, and I can see things that 200 years ago with the exact same equipment minus the digital camera I could still look at because there wasn't as much light pollution and go, man, there's some fuzzy, weird-looking cloud out there. That's cool-looking. I should look at it more.
Indeed. All right. On that note, here we go.
Which indicates that they're both local. Okay, and this streetlight is here. We know it's here, and we know those crepuscular rays are here. There's no fooling us and telling us it's 93 million miles away or 1 million miles in diameter. And it looks just like the sun that they're telling us is far away and huge, and whose light rays are here, though, on the Earth.
Take the goddamn same picture in hydrogen alpha.
Same as what we see in the sky. The sun matches the sun rays. But in the heliocentric model, with the sun that's 93 million miles away and almost 1 million miles in diameter, the rays should be completely out of proportion, like this.
Gosh, it's so bizarre.
We
How
shouldn't
can you
even
expect that? That's just weird.
Yeah, it's so bars. We should be seeing bars. All right.
Even see the sun. Maybe the sun should just be a blob of light on the other side of our lit up atmosphere from these huge rays. I mean, we see the sun like it's in our atmosphere, like it's close, but it can't be, according to the heliocentric model.
No, we see the sun exactly the way that it is. Exactly the way that it is, and I'm God damn it, I'm gonna get myself kicked out again, aren't I?
We got some scale issues here again, don't we? Did Jaren help with this? Did Jaren help with this drawing?
And next, I want to show you how, in this photo, perspective is actually missing. And what's ironic is the very linear perspective that they tried to invoke to explain this photo is actually missing from this photo for the heliocentric model to be true.
Yeah, go ahead. Say what you got to say, because we'll be talking about this photo as soon as you're done.
Okay, so what do I mean by that? Well, I mean, they invoked perspective to describe or explain these crepuscular rays, the fact that they're splaying out from the clouds, because they had to invoke perspective or something, because this picture doesn't work for the heliocentric model. This picture of these crepuscular rays is a problem for their model because the sun is supposed to be 1 million miles in diameter. But the problem is they've invoked perspective, but perspective doesn't work because, as I've already shown you, it doesn't
same goddamn picture
again with the vertical lines. My. Let's go back. Let's go back to
I'm
the
going to mute myself.
Let's go back to the picture. I can't be the only one noticing that farther back in the clouds that are farther away, you have two visible, I don't know, but you guys called train quite a few times. I don't know if I'll explain this clearly or not, but you have the effect of perspective on two axes here. Near the center of the screen, the rays that appear to be more parallel, also by virtue of where we can see the clouds are farther away. So there would be less of a splaying out due to the perspective. Well, fuck, you get the idea, right? Do you get what I'm saying? All right, there we go.
But the problem is they've invoked perspective, but perspective doesn't work because, as I've already showed you, it doesn't explain the parallel vertical lines that we should see all over the place.
Right, vertical lines will always be parallel even if you look up. Good.
Yep.
Perspective will not splay those out, right? So
wait, exactly how we should see it.
So if we tip these tracks so that they were vertical, they would appear. They would never come to a vanishing point due to perspective. They would just be visibly parallel. That's what he said.
Until you looked up.
It's not tempting to land in our atmosphere on the picture on the right. I mean, isn't this a momentous scientific discovery according to him?
These vertical rays should be everywhere. The parallel vertical rays, but we don't see them.
It should be.
The perspective that's missing is like the sun is out there and it's almost 1 million miles in diameter, right? So its sunbeam, it shoots out a sunbeam, and that sunbeam is 100,000 miles wide, let's say.
What?
But what we see from here looks very small.
Oh my God, this is where aneurysms
but
are
not
born.
when it gets here.
Oh, yes, and they're all made of little Lego blocks.
Absolutely, and we now have this is important scientific information. We now know the width of a sunbeam. Prior to this,
sunbeam,
it's
yes.
100,000
Well,
miles
we know
wide.
that's one thing. We know that's one thing too big to fit up that guy's ass.
Yeah, prior to. I'd have to push his head out of the way to get there, I guess.
Right.
Yeah,
When it
well,
gets here, it's
that's
gonna
another
be
matter
massive.
that I want to go into,
Okay,
and I have never.
But yet, look at these sun rays coming through the clouds. They're small, they're skinny, they're tiny. They match the local sun that we see in the sky here. So that's what I mean by perspectives missing. And let me give you a couple of.
What about a day when there aren't any clouds?
To help you figure this out.
Yeah.
Okay, now imagine you're at a football.
We should get
game,
a real
American
view of
football.
that really close sun on the clear cloudless days, which I seem to remember happen like.
All right, here we go.
Game, and you can see the player, the quarterback, down on the field,
Right.
and he's as big as a peanut. Okay, on the field, even smaller. Okay, and the football is the size of a short grain of rice, and he's got this great arm, and he turns around and he throws that ball up to you in the stands, and he can throw it all the way to you. Now I got a question.
His brain. Wait.
When
Can
the
I ask
ball-
something?
Okay.
And his brain is the size of a cork.
The fuck? His analogies are bizarre.
Yeah, this is pretty bizarre. Okay, peanut-sized football player throws you the ball in the stands. That's what we're up to so far.
Size of a rice grain, too.
Right, rice grain, and right. I guess he means he looks that big when you're sitting in the stands. But
I guess.
I guess. All right, let's. He didn't explain that too well. Let's see. Okay, so we're up to the point where the peanut throws us the rice grain, right? Okay,
All right.
let's see what happens after.
gets to you, is it going to be the size of a grain of rice, or is it going to be the size of a regulation football? Well, it's going to be the size of a regulation football, right? But that's not what we see in this picture with the sun rays. Those sun rays fit the size of the sun.
Holy shit.
Now let's take a look at the soccer ball. All right.
Yeah, because as we know, sun rays are way bigger than a football.
When the ball gets to you, it's going to be the size of a soccer ball, right? This is proper perspective. This is the perspective we're not seeing when we look at the sun. The sun that we see in the sky is close. Okay, here's a train leaving a station far away down the tracks. Also analogous to the rays leaving the million-mile diameter sun.
Okay, that was scary. Wait a minute. Why is the train moving sideways now?
The rays would be massive, just like the train is massive compared to that little train station. Right? That's proper perspective.
I think
Now look at
Andy's not
these.
having a serious aneurysm after that train happened.
Indeed. Okay, now that, and apparently the
sun rays, trains, football players.
Yeah, and the small local sun is apparently
Oh, did Andy? Wait, did
on
Andy
a train.
leave? Oh no, he's here. Okay, never mind.
And yeah, there he is.
No, I'm still here. It is apparently. Oh God!
Is it getting painful, Andy?
So if this guy wants to talk about sun rays, he effectively wants to talk about what the width of a proton.
No, they're 100,000 miles wide. That's what he said.
We have
I think
the
all
size.
he's saying is that the rays aren't getting wider as they move toward the observer, but they are if you just look at the image. So he's just lying out of his ass mostly.
Pretty much, and he's got. We were talking earlier about the failure to define certain terms. Ray, he's misusing. A ray shouldn't have a width. A ray should be.
Yeah. It's a beam, if anything.
Pretty much.
It's just a beam of
It
light.
has a frequency.
Well, you'll say it's like a section of rays.
Okay. Here we go.
Shafts of light coming from the sun, the rays. The sun on the right here, each of its rays that you see coming off the sun would be about 100,000 miles wide. Just like
Unbelievable!
Oh my God!
He's talking about the width of the
10,000 miles to 100,000 miles. My gosh, this thing. Now we know about the inflationary universe. The light waves got bigger and bigger over time.
That's what it's all about. So he's comparing one of these beams shining through a less dense area in the clouds to one of the radial elements of glare in a camera. He's saying those are equivalent. No, worse than that. Equal. He's saying they're equal. And,
I'm guessing he doesn't know that the iris in a camera lens, the aperture iris, is what causes these rays in the first place.
But I suspect
in the glare, of course.
Yeah, I suspect he may be unaware of the. But how could he not know that's glare? All right, I'm asking questions.
Even if he thinks that, right? If he thinks that is 100,000 miles wide, the flat model also says it's 3,000 miles wide. No. The flat model says it's 3,000 miles high.
Mm-hmm.
You do the math.
Mm-hmm.
Correlating if he says that small shaft of light is 100,000. Imagine the full sun that he would think it is, and then compare that with the blade height of the sun that he would think it is.
All right, here we go.
You could fit 10 Earths side by side in that ray.
In a ray.
Okay, so when we look at these rays, they're not 100,000 miles wide, and they're diverging out from a small sun that we see in the sky. I mean, that proves right there the sun is close and small.
Yeah.
What if you move 100 miles?
Go ahead and ignore the whole 10 to the negative 15th meter squared diameter of a fucking idiot.
How big are the sunlight from his little tiny close-up sun?
Apparently quite a bit smaller.
As he carefully selects what band of light he wants.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm saying.
I'm guessing this is how at some point in time someone sat down and said, fucking gravity!
How does that work?
I just... God!
All right, look,
Kyle, are you old enough to be drunk?
Let's say no.
Okay, actually...
No, I'm not.
Damn it, that's a good question. All right. Oh, we have a new title.
I'm sorry that I was two people decided they loved each other enough and decided they want to have some intercourse together at a slightly later date than what you had. Okay, sorry.
All right.
Are we talking gravity sex here now? You know, you're effing the.
Yes. Okay. So now we don't worship at the Church of Gravity. Now we have sex with it.
This just got weird.
Yes, it did. Let's get. You know what? Let's move
to weird.
Let's move back from
There's
weird.
neutrinos that swing both ways, but you can't really tell because it's all uncertainty principle.
Let us step back from weird into the stupid. We have a new title, Celestial Perspective now. So we're
the
back
uncertainty principle is no longer applying to the momentum and
Mr. Unite, I remember that you can call me JJ routine. I thought that's what you.
The uncertainty principle is now going to apply to how uncertain how uncertain the stupid that'll be imparted on, right? Depending on how.
Okay.
They get more and more uncertain of what arguments are coming. You think, oh, they can't get stupid. It can't get stupider than this, and then it gets stupider than that.
How many weeks have we been saying it can't get any more stupid? How many weeks have we been saying that?
I don't know.
Every week we're proving wrong. Every week. But all right.
You know what? I'm gonna say it. This can get stupider.
It's progressive.
Okay, I'm not even sure if this quote is misattributed, but might as well be. But whatever. Okay, Facebook, I'll give you a chance. Right. The only thing, right? There's two things that are infinite, that may be infinite to the universe: the universe and human stupidity. Right. I'm not sure about the former.
Yeah.
You forgot one. You forgot one.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Trump.
Words.
Don't keep us hanging here.
I said it once. I don't need to say it again. I said it once. This is not a political show. I said it once.
It cut you off, so we didn't actually.
Yeah, didn't hear it. That's all.
Oh, well, my apologies. I said Trump.
Okay, there you go. All right. Yep. Let's see about this celestial perspective crap now.
Much more idiotic.
There we go.
The celestial
Now, I know somebody's going to seize upon this and say, hey, wait a minute, but we don't see perspective with the sun traveling over the flat Earth. We should see it shrink to a dot and disappear. We don't see that. Well, I was going to save this for another video, and I maybe still will, but let me introduce to you celestial perspective.
Drink. Okay. So this one very carefully selected video, this only one video, where you can see the massive glare there, right?
Yeah.
When everything else, right, when you see during, sunset or something, it just goes... And you see it go from sunrise, sunset, no change in sun size, one carefully selected thing, glare.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that was
I always
proof.
notice this, is that they find this one very specific moment, like they say, oh my gosh, I can see Chicago from there. And then like you actually go there and you take other pictures, you're like, oh shit.
All right. Okay,
because then the mirage is gone and they're screwed. So
looks like we've got more repetition coming here.
Even with all the mirages and all the atmospheric refraction you could ever ask for, I invite every... Well, no, I don't invite every, because I don't think I can actually take room and board on 4 people, but I would like to invite the 2 prominent flat earthers to come and sit in my backyard, look the 50 miles south towards Pikes Peak that is nearly 10,000 feet above my head, and go ahead and let me know where it is, because I can't see the damn thing from my backyard. Almost 10,000 feet above my head, and where the fuck is it? If the Earth was flat, it should be right in my face. It should be as obvious as day and night.
I don't know. You have your trusty camera.
Yeah, you need a P900. Do you have a truth detector, the P900 with you?
Yeah.
That'll do it.
You are right. I do not have a truth detector. I just have non-NASA shield, non-impregnated by computer optics telescopes that are made by hand that I still can't see the damn thing with.
Are you using a mountaintop filter on that?
Well, you know, I'm using a Colorado filter, so it's got a little bit of a green hue to it.
All right.
That's smoky.
It looks like we're about to see a repetition of what we heard before looking down the hallway, but we're going to hear it one more time, I guess. Here we go.
Different than regular perspective that we're used to every day. Regular perspective, we see a train on the tracks, and as it goes away from you, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller until it disappears.
Right.
But the sun, on the other hand, is different because the sun, when it's quote-unquote next to you, is high overhead and has already experienced a reduction in size.
What? When it's overhead, it is experienced a reduction in size.
Say something, right?
Sure.
If he thinks, right, okay. If he thinks that Earth is if he thinks the sun's about one glare part is about 100,000 miles long, according to him.
Yeah.
And you do the math, say I'm gonna be about 10 and fit in the sun. I'm gonna be very generous here, right? That's gonna give you 1 million. And if you look at the length of longitude being 37 miles, 39 miles, I think.
Okay.
69 miles. I'm very wrong. Right. You'll just see. You should see it. You should have no sense of time zones at all.
None. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, although what?
And remember, it's only 3,000 miles high. He would say. So you can't say it's the distance.
But okay. But keep in mind what he just said now, which was when the sun's overhead, it has already reduced in size. What the hell does that mean? I'm not even sure he said that. I'm backing that up. Was that what he said?
It sounded like it, but
I'm backing it up. Not that.
I'm pretty sure what he meant was that there is glare in the morning, and there's not as much glare in the afternoon.
Well, glare, if that was, then he might as well not even make the argument, because glare is not an accurate way to measure anything. So let's see what he says one more time.
But the sun, on the other hand, is different because the sun, when it's quote-unquote next to you, is high overhead and has already experienced.
When is the sun next to you? I'm sorry.
He was about to say the part.
Me and the sun have never been shoulder to shoulder, so what? Could he explain what that experience would be?
One more time. Nobody say,
buddy.
One more time. Nobody say anything.
Sorry.
Hold on.
The other hand is different because the sun, when it's quote-unquote next to you, is high overhead and has already experienced a reduction in size.
Okay, that's it. That's the part I wanted to replay.
Yeah.
He was just saying. Before he was saying that the sun changed size when it was farther away. Look, it's smaller because less glare, and look, it's bigger when it's close. And now he's saying exactly the opposite. That the sun, when it's directly overhead, has already experienced a reduction in size. The only way that could happen is if it physically shrank. Unless he's talking about the glare, which also wouldn't be true, because that would theoretically be at its brightest. You'd have more glare. But, as we already said, glare is not a good way to measure anything. So, I'm not even calling drink. I'm just calling bullshit on that. All right.
So,
yes.
Ignoring his little self-contradiction, he seems to think that since the sun is so far away, it can't get any smaller if it were to move further away.
I think he's saying it is getting smaller. Like when it's coming up in the morning, it looks bigger because of the atmosphere and the way the sun's refracting through it. And as it goes up in the sky, it appears to get smaller until it gets overhead. And I think
he just
that's
self-contradicted himself. And now he's saying it's already reduced in size because it's on a much higher plane than I'd have to see more to see if that's his actual claim.
I think that's what he's thinking.
Yeah, so we're saying internal consistency is too much to expect in this video.
For a flat earther, there's no such thing as consistency.
Okay, got it. As long as we clear that up.
He's highly viscous.
It needs to be succussed.
No.
Needs to be succussed. Here we go.
Now, as it goes away from you, it follows the convergence lines down to your horizon, essentially keeping it same distance from you. So the two movements offset each other. The sun moving away from you, and then the visually lowering as it follows the convergence lines down.
You know, we can call drink and just say that's stupid. We don't even have to go into it. Drink, that's stupid.
Yeah, it's just an outright lie. Fuck that. It's an outright lie.
Pretty
Bullshit.
much. I agree.
To your eye level horizon. Also, the sun is too big to shrink to a dot anyway.
God, not
right?
the eye level horizon.
It's too big to shrink to a dot. Okay, then how does it disappear? You're saying it disappears because of perspective. You also say that it goes below the horizon because of perspective, which is
once again, travel the world a little goddamn bit, because depending on where you are on the planet, the horizon is nowhere near your frickin' eye line.
Yeah.
Okay, I look to the west to the horizon when the sun sets. My horizon is about 5 degrees up. And that's not a guesstimate. That's not a generalization I want to make because I don't like flat earthers. There's a fucking mountain in front of me. The horizon is up. That means it's not at eye level. It's up.
Fino makes a good point in the comments. we could do that instead of watching any flat Earth video. Just drink and say that's stupid. It's a lot less stressing to the brain and liver than this. And it would save an awful lot of time. You know what? We just give a list of names of the flat earthers, say that's stupid, and be done with it.
Right.
More stupid than another stupid person.
All right.
Well, I mean, the entire eye level thing, it's such an absolute bullshit statement to make. I mean, you're asking a human being to recognize the difference between 1/100th of an arc second over an unknown distance that you can't calculate in your head.
I would be surprised if with the human eye and our method of balance, if we'd be able to distinguish even 5 degrees. Looking out straight ahead. I don't know that we'd be able to recognize a 5-degree dip. And the amount that the visible horizon is above or below eye level is, as you say, fractions of that. So, all right. Hey, look at us. We are at 16 out of. We've only got 3 minutes left. That's what, an hour, you think? All right, let's see. Here we go.
I'm going to go below the observer's horizon before that happens. Now note this about the convergence lines. Notice that on this wall of lines, the higher up they get, the more steep they get. They orient themselves away from the horizontal and more to the vertical. So the train on the tracks, as that goes away from you, it's right on your eye level. It's actually on your z-axis. Here's a picture of the z-axis, x-axis, and y-axis. It's on your z-axis, so all you can see is the train get smaller and smaller and smaller. You can't see any movement laterally or vertically out of that plane. But the sun is different, because the sun, even though it's cruising over the Earth parallel to the ground, it's on a much higher plane. So when it's overhead, it's already had a visual reduction in size. So now
he said it again.
It also isn't traveling directly at you.
Oh yeah, by the way, so here we get an illustration of us being above the ground. Okay. I would like to know how does that ever going to go below said plane, right? Because you have all these illustrations of lines going converging to the vanishing point, right? But it would never actually, the two actual parallel lines reach there because you'd be at a finite distance. And even if it did, it wouldn't make it go disappear. They're going beyond the infinity, going beyond the horizon. But if you're above a plane, I move any object, I should always see said object. I've never ever got yet an explanation for a sunset.
Yes,
well,
actually,
clearly the sunset in this rail car in particular, they're obviously headed towards Hilbert's Hotel. That's all you need to know.
Actually,
Hilbert's Hotel.
Good explanation.
Oh my gosh, I like that joke. I like that one. Right, but that's why it's called convergence, because it converges at infinity. That's what that convergence is.
I am hesitant.
Why am I doing this to myself?
I'm hesitant to bring this up, but
drinking fucking.
I have seen flat earther drawings that attempt to explain the sun going below the horizon, wherein. Take a look at the line.
My scribble scratches.
Hey, it's not like I was speaking or anything.
Let's talk.
It's not like. All right. Take a look in the picture he's got up now. Take a look. Let's see. 1, 2, 3 lines above his head. You see that one blue line that's going down to a point, ostensibly the vanishing point on the horizon. I've seen flat earther drawings where they insist that perspective actually continues past the vanishing point, and the line continues to drop. And they're saying that when the sun gets that far away, it's past the vanishing point and going below the horizon. I have seen drawings to this effect put forth to explain the phenomenon of why we can't see the sun anymore. Past a certain point, it's not just that it gets real tiny, it's that it actually goes below the eye level, disturbing
beyond the eye level.
And who knows? We got 2 minutes left. If he may actually bring that up in this video, we shall see. But anyway,
so I know this is probably bugging Andy. It's bugging me. Anyone that deals with front view, side view, top view, isometric view knows that the side view is completely invalid. How do you have lines of perspective in a side view?
There is no such thing as perspective from a side view.
Exactly.
Indeed. Alrighty. And here we go yet again.
Now when it goes away from you and it follows those convergence lines down, it'll appear to be the same size because the...
No, it doesn't do that.
Cara called it. Cara, you're up.
Why is the sun getting lower in a side view?
and not changing size. That is, if everything else gets smaller as it gets farther away.
It's like they don't know what a side view is.
They don't. They have absolutely no idea what. Oh my god.
Well, unless
I'm going to get myself banned if I keep going, so I'm just going to shut up again.
Yeah, I mean, they don't even know how to
I got you covered, Andy. I got you covered.
Without some help. So how do you expect them to know what a side view is?
You know what? Maybe we're not giving him enough credit. Maybe although you can't have this kind of perspective from a side view, maybe he's putting this forth as an abstract representation of what that observer would see. That might...
Drink, that's stupid.
Okay. Drink, okay. It's honestly getting more abstract than Jackson Pollock's 1970 painting that I've seen.
That's like a post-impressionist.
Okay. I had a better time deciphering a Jackson Pollock painting and understanding why it's good than understanding what this flood was trying to convey. Okay, next.
Okay. All right. Very good. Any other comments on this particular side view perspective photograph?
Yes. Real quick. So the way that he's trying to portray the entire thing with the front view on the left and the supposed side view on the right. If you're looking at an object that happens to be descending through the atmosphere, i.e. the sun, the front view that he's portraying is close to what reality is. Okay. However, the supposed side view is nowhere effing close. He's showing something following a tangential line.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And those lines aren't parallel.
Uh-oh. Add a beer.
Exactly.
Probably.
This idea would have parallel lines. That's.
Keep in mind, they're not taking into effect that we rotate around the sun. They're thinking the sun moves around our sky when us moving around the sun.
Which would actually make it would actually distort the lines to such a greater extent, as opposed to on a spherical body, you could have something very close to a perpendicular or parallel line, depending on where it is that the viewer was standing. But if you're trying to model it in 3 dimensions, you cannot have anything relative to a straight path in any way, shape, or form. It would always be a curved path. So you're always going to be bleh. Okay. Drank a little bit much. I'm going to stop. You get what I'm going with, though. It's not going to be straight.
Can someone here say that, the sun is going, that, like, they assume the sun's going around the Earth, but the Earth goes around the sun? Actually, I don't think that argument really works, right? Because because to us, right, it does look like the sun goes around us, but to the sun, it would look like we go around it. Because otherwise, you have to say that there isn't relativity, and then you're inviting them to go put their stupid densities, gravity bullshit, and you don't want that.
No. Who needs
because
that?
Because apparently they think that, apparently the air pressure can't support the penny drop, but the upper air pressure, it won't fall from top, fall to the top. Sounds really weird. And they say, no, it's just down. I'm like, okay, well, there's some force. And there's like, oh, there's no need for a force. I'm like, yes, there is. I'm getting a little angry.
Parabola was the word I was looking for. Sorry, I was getting a little bit frustrated there for a second, but the word I was looking for. The path of the sun through the sky would be parabolic. It would not be linear.
Right.
It happens to be pretty damn linear, though.
Kind of.
It definitely doesn't move through a parabola, unless you sit down and do certain types of photography where you take a picture of the sun at the same time every day, same time every year. We have a fun term for that. I'll just leave that one up for the commenters.
I did not use enough of Richard Dawkins' train out session on keeping your calm.
All right, here we go. We've got like a minute and a half left. Let's see how much more stupid we can be bombarded with.
How long is that in pug dog?
Sometime around Tuesday afternoon. We'll be wrapping up. Here we go.
And the lowering kind of offset each other. And same as this train. If you put this train high up overhead, that will cause it to already have a...
Oh, look.
A train setting now.
Train setting.
Visual reduction in size also. So now when it goes away from you, it too will maintain its size.
And how come it's getting smaller vertically when he said
Next up on the
vertical
weather
lines?
forecast.
This guy just fails at side views altogether.
Pretty much. And how come it's getting smaller going up if perspective doesn't work for vertical lines?
Kind of like if you're flying a kite, right? And you have the kite and it's a mile overhead. Well, it'll appear a certain size, right? But let's say it takes a nosedive, but the string stays taut, so it goes all the way to the ground. Now it's a mile further down the road from you, but it's still the same size visually, right?
Almost as if. All right.
That's why the sun stays the same size?
Because kite.
Because kite.
The sun is just diving into the ground. Really?
Well, the kite looks bigger at the horizon because of the refraction.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah,
what new baseball player did they hire?
And so by this proof we've just witnessed, the sun is always the same distance from you as it circles over a flat Earth. Okay, we've gotten into some kind of physics that it's beyond my comprehension. That's not. This is either really
beyond his comprehension.
I'm curious what even the people that believe in this shit, what they think of this video. Like, this is like total nonsense.
Do you get the impression they just nod and smile? They don't actually.
The most common run-of-the-mill flat Earth explanation, well, I guess you can't call it run-of-the-mill because no flat Earth explanation is common, but is that you have your little small sun, spot-like sun, that just goes around in a circle swinging around the rosy, right? and it somehow like just emits a small little circle, causing time zones, which not only goes against the whole idea of time zones and the whole continuity and the Terminator line that exists. Not the Terminator line, but the fact that our times match up the Terminator line. But you get all this whole mess, and then they have to have a shape-shifting spotlight sun as seasons change. It's just a whole bloody mess. But that at least ad hocly explains this. This doesn't even ad hocly explain time zones at all.
But it was a pretty cool picture, though.
They're saying the sun's just diving into the ground.
All this is an explanation for how stupid flat earthers are.
Yeah.
Okay, then
Well,
it's a valid explanation then. All right.
Maybe the sun is a kite.
Yes. All right.
Or a train.
Or a train going up into the air, getting smaller.
Yeah.
Which
A train.
Well, it's not even a train. Let's be real honest. This guy is just obsessed with cabooses.
maybe so.
It might be.
There we go.
And this view shows that he knows how to do a side view, and that he chooses not to when he's trying to show.
It's that
Wow.
consistency.
Indeed.
It's that consistency thing again, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Seems to be lacking. All right, here we go.
So that's kind of how this works too.
So
let's recap. In my experiment, I showed that when the sun is close, the rays splay out, but when the sun is far, the rays are straight parallel beams. Yet this is what they show us, this picture of crepuscular rays, and say that that's a faraway sun.
Pancake dish.
This part
Then I
feels like
showed
it
you
was
how-
hours ago.
Yeah,
Oh, wait, it was.
it was. It was.
Yeah, it's because it was.
It really,
Two, to
really
be precise.
was.
2.
Perspective can't explain what we see because it doesn't splay out things like these poles or these buildings.
Derp.
And then I showed how the sun mimics perspective. It has the same look. The light rays radially propagate outward.
Drink.
or they radiate out.
Okay. No, he didn't show anything. He just.
Kyle,
Okay.
Kyle, you're
I
up.
think I might be calling Cara on this one. What sound is that? What?
Oh, sure as shit isn't Saul.
Somebody just drank themselves.
He showed that he can beat the stupid competition and become stupider than your average flat earther.
This guy could fuck up a county fair.
So this is. All right.
Stupid up goes to.
All right.
What sold me is that he just drew the sun nose diving into the ground.
Okay. 1 minute left. 1 minute and this fabulous presentation.
From a common center. And that's what we're seeing with the sun. It's not
Repetition.
perspective. And then I showed how the streetlights, the crepuscular streetlights, match the sun. The same crepuscular rays from the sun and from the streetlights, and they look identical. Both local light sources and local rays.
Right, case made.
Then I showed you celestial perspective, and that's different from regular perspective, like the train going down the tracks.
Can I add something here?
Sure.
He just showed an anti-crepuscular rays, right? That thing. And he's trying to use this argument, right? That the sun is like right above us, and that light creates like the angled things. But is the sun nosediving into the ground and now one with the ground and moving? That's what he just
You got it. Yes, the sun comes down, and that's when people get
saying.
sunburned.
He just showed an answer. Whatever.
Okay.
I mean, it's so obvious. Aren't you a flat earther yet? I mean, come on.
Well, when you're next to the sun, you'll definitely get a sunburn.
Odds are. Here we go.
You're in the same plane as your eyes, and as that goes away, it can only shrink.
I mean,
it gets
if we
smaller and
use-
smaller. But the sun is high up overhead, so it's vertically already had a visual reduction in size. So as it goes down to your eye level horizon, it'll make
Wrong.
Yeah, if it's overhead, okay, visual reduction in size. That's just no.
maintain its same size.
The sun has the same angular size every single time that you sit down and actually use any sort of solar filter to measure it. It's the same goddamn size.
I think
and
that's
it does not follow any sort of parabolic path like it would need to on a flat Earth.
You know, I wonder if that's the point he's trying to make as to why the sun is always the same size, because he's saying it actually visually shrinks when it's overhead. And
So
that
now the
makes it
sun
look.
isn't nosediving into the ground. Now it's moving. Oh my god.
But That side view thing, he's trying to say that the sun, when it sets, is meeting the horizon or something.
I get he's not actually trying to do it. His explanation was really poor, but he's not actually doing that. He's trying to use the whole perspective makes the thing go down, which actually it wouldn't. But it would converge. It would never go beyond the horizon.
Agreed. Okay.
Not only would it never go on beyond the horizon, but why the fuck is it there? I mean, seriously, why the fuck is the goddamn thing floating up there above us in their flat Earth wannabe model? Why the fuck is it there?
Because
it's just like a kite.
Because I did a home study, and it's Lenz's law. It's the best bet, I bet.
All right, let's see how much.
Well, that beats my argument for it being quantum chromodynamics. So you win.
Does it look like on this map?
Don't entangle quarks, right? The poor innocent things, right?
Oh, they're not innocent. They all want to have a threesome.
Doesn't it look like
twosomes and threesomes? Okay, don't exclude mesons here.
Oh my god! I just made quantum mechanics sexy.
You just left out. You only considered.
Someone let James talk.
You only considered. Okay.
The picture here of the flat Earth with that cute little sun thingy that's brightening up the hemisphere with the Americas. I would think that then an astronomer in Australia should be able to get an absolutely effing spectacular view of that sunball during the night. It should be really impressive, don't you think? Can you get some pictures down there for me from Australia? One of you Australian people?
I'll see. I'll look into that.
Yeah, because boy, you should be seeing. Is it dark there now?
No.
Well, then next night, will you please get out your telescope, because it tells from this map here, which must be absolutely correct, although your scale may vary, that you should really be having a wonderful impression of that little big old ball up in the sky that should be kind of moving around next to all those star thingies that don't seem to be shown on their your mileage may vary chart.
Right, according to their map, it should be more like 11 at night.
Yeah. So, and we know this is absolutely brilliantly scientifically accurate because we know that only NASA uses fake visualizations and CGI. All the material done from your flat earthers is meticulous and careful and rigorously reasoned out.
Well, this guy uses real CGI.
Made with the finest paper plates.
All right.
I always forget about the real CGI versus fake CGI.
Yeah, you need to get that, They said back in Galileo's, they had to knit their CGI. It was extremely time-consuming.
All right, last minute. Here we go.
Okay, and that
can you imagine what it would take to crochet?
I believe we made a strong case.
CGI.
A lot of evidence here.
That's why all the astronomy was done from little old ladies, and then the guys would come in and take credit for it, writing up their little things in Latin, and nobody knew because who the hell read Latin?
Well, only the people that knew that you could only crochet in 960 DPI. Duh.
Remember what happened that day when they tried to crochet a light beam and they died out after the first 1,000 miles.
Okay.
All right, we better stop before we start talking about crocheting penguins.
Moving. Oh God, no penguins.
Hey,
Moving on.
Moving on.
Thank you. Moving on.
And thank you so much for watching.
Okay,
There's only one thing left to do. Let's kick the ball out of here. Take care.
Okay. Wasn't that just something?
The ball earth out of there. T-Brain. Oh, what an ironic label.
Aren't these round?
It goes past Hilbert's Hotel and goes to like beyond infinity.
Yeah,
right?
this is the drawing I was talking. This is actually the drawing I was talking about. He cropped it at both ends, but in the larger view, the lines continue downward at the same angle and
I'm sure this guy knows what hyperrules are, but they don't work that way. Okay.
I said drink for the very reason that, like, if you've learned perspective and like how panoramic views work, you know that in order to see both north and south or east and west, to have lines of perspective between those two sides, the lines actually curve. So they emerge from the vanishing point and then curve in a nice curved path and then dive into the other vanishing point. There's no like weird perfect straight lines all the way up to, like, if you're to say in this image, east is on the right, west is on the left. At north, all the lines don't start diving into one. Like, they've never learned perspective. It's the most silly thing. They try to disregard perspective, but they don't even understand the basic principles in drawing perspective. I'd encourage anyone to look into how shadows are drawn in perspective. For the sun, it explains crepuscular rays perfectly.
Well,
Cara, I have a quick question for you. Did you, by any chance, at any point in time, watch Commander Mark?
Who? I don't know who that is.
Commander Mark was on PBS. He was an absolutely phenomenal artist that taught perspective, the way that perspective is actually viewed through artwork.
I have not, no.
Commander Mark is fucking awesome. Well, was awesome. He just is Mark Pistol now, but
I'll look him up.
Didn't he sing the song
back in the
Combo?
80s when he was Commander Mark, he was fucking amazing when it came to actually teaching how it is to view perspective through artwork. Phenomenal artist.
Yeah, that's where I learned perspective, is when I was studying perspective as a kid, like learning to draw.
I'm trying to understand this picture I'm seeing. So this is an 8,000-foot tall human being that is standing down in a long valley. Go up in nice, neat, straight lines to the little like the thing in the roller coaster, and then as soon as it gets over the top, it goes whee down into the end. Now, is that my accurate depiction of the world according to this? Am I missing something?
That's what he's trying to say, yes.
The only thing you're missing is the fact that his name is clearly Adam.
Let's see if.
Okay. I was going to call him Cletus, but if you want to go Adam, I'm.
You know, if they have this clipped off to the left side,
called Cleavon.
We can see a little bit at the right side. We can see a little bit past what they would call the vanishing point. I just want to back this up and see if he has the sun below the horizon at that point. Let's back up a little bit. Here we go. Because I've seen this drawing before. There, yes, he did. Look at that. This is how perspective works. That past the vanishing point. Here, let me see if I can back it up just to that point.
Kind of springs up like one of those little things out of a jacket.
What I want him to do is I want him to make his computer disappear so he can't upload, right? By putting it on his desk and moving it down his desk, right? And using this perspective to see when it will disappear.
Why don't we give him the perspective of flying directly into the sun?
Actual path of the sun over a flat Earth. So yeah, the sun crashes into the ground. Confirmed.
And that's the way this started off. If you didn't crop it, this image of the sun
slowly sank into the valley, burning everything.
The sun would actually be below what he has as ground level on this, because they continue these lines past the vanishing point. This is insane.
And it's not even a curvizon, because that thing looks like a kind of a wedge-shaped thing to me, you know? I'm getting to have the sneaking suspicion that this illustration is not truly fidelity to the actual physical facts.
Don't tell them about the wedgeizon.
Well, it's
if you tell them about the wedgeizon, everyone's going to forget about the wedgie.
Wait, so we've got a curvizon and a wedgeizon.
Yeah, that's the secret inner sanctum penguin secret. Okay, I got it.
All right, 15 seconds. Nobody call drink. Let it run out. Something stupid will come up. Just let it go. Okay. Wasn't that fun?
Oh
No.
wow! It was so informative.
Really not.
Are these people trying to conflate? Are they really trying to say?
Chair? Can we please bring back the electric chair?
Now, see this.
Are these people trying to say that the Earth is two-dimensional? I don't get it.
I don't know. What I see is we had a 20-minute video and a 3-minute video, and if we add those two numbers together, really, they should not equal 2.5 hours. Just really.
Well, if he's deeply religious, he may only allow 2.5 dimensions because he's really opposed to 3 ways.
Well, see that.
You know, Sci, I think I know why you have this problem of 2-minute videos turning into 2 hours. This is more of a flat Earth support group.
I see. All right, so we got these two down. I actually I made the same mistake I always make. Because these are short videos, I better queue up about 5 or 6, and I did. And one of them,
I'm Cara. I'm a baller.
one of these I was sure we were going to get to, which was Jeranism was up to his old foolishness again. And
oh god,
this one, it was about trying to debunk the speed of light as a practical speed limit to everything in the known universe. The question I have to ask you folks. First, I'll tell you. The name of the video is "Light Speed is Lie Speed." See how he's clever like that? You know, lie.
I tell you, my curiosity dog peaked.
Hyphen speed of light debunked, and debunked is all in caps. And this video is 13 minutes and 56 seconds long. My question to you guys is: do you want to be subjected to that crap, or do you want to save that? It is your choice.
Gosh, it's one of those things, like, I hate him so much for it. I just want to rip into him right now and just be like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, Cara, I'm with you. I am just primed to hear what he has to say about the speed of light.
Is that a bring it on? I mean, it's the argument that I know.
For me, it kind of is.
Right.
I actually haven't heard the argument before, so whatever.
Yeah, well,
if Jeranism actually thinks that he can somehow disprove causality,
well,
yeah.
If anything, I will give Jeranism one thing.
They found the tachyon particle. Maybe if you go back in time, we can stop this mistake.
Ethernet guys. All right. So, you know what? I'll make it easier. Does anyone not want to hear what Jeranism has to say? Anybody object?
Let's see it.
All right, and I'm sorry. Here we go. Light speed.
My body is so ready.
Light speed
I'm
is
just gonna
lie
call
speed.
Drink off the get-go. Prepare yourselves for this video.
Have you seen it before?
We may encounter some stupid here. Here we go.
That's a given.
Yes.
Okay, that's a job requirement.
Ignition sequence start.
Warning.
3, 2, 1.
Houston, we have a problem.
Jesus. Oh, come on, Jaren. Volume control. Normalize.
Not dramatic.
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
It's a curve horizon.
What's going on, everyone? It's Jeranism, back with another video for you today.
Yeah, howdy, Jaren.
As you well know, science should help us explain reality. It is the systematic enterprise that builds and organizes knowledge in the form of testable explanations and predictions about the universe that we all live in.
Yeah.
Over the course of the 19th century, the word science...
Okay.
What bloody prediction has Flat Earth ever made? Okay.
That is a good point. Can't even tell us where the goddamn planet is
solar eclipse, I bet you.
Did you not see the grain of rice thing?
Oh, there you go.
Water finds its level.
I forgot.
Always.
I always hate that water finds its level. No, it finds equilibrium, which it happens to look level because the vector field of forces, right, the angle, which from gravity, right, is curved inwards. The vector field of force will look a little straight downwards because you're at a small angle. My God.
Yeah, you're telling the wrong people this.
Yes,
well, I just heard that thing over and over again.
Sorry.
You're giving me nightmares, seriously.
we are somewhat familiar with it.
That really small angle inevitably winds up actually moving its way into a whole new world of math that we don't want to get into tonight.
All right,
Yes,
and fortunately,
linear algebra. Run away.
Fortunately, this topic is
No,
not
I was
involved.
actually going to say tensors, but hey, we can go with linear algebra. I'm down with that.
Linear algebra typically
Tell you what,
right? You grab into calculus, you got the vector calculus, and that's a job for another day.
To keep things moving along.
Okay, are you Australian or South African? For the love of God, sometimes when you start getting into late night conversations, I can't tell.
I am actually I live in the North Americas.
The North America.
I'll drink to that.
The North Americas, yes.
I'm calling that a miss.
In Florida, the place where there's a lot of stupid.
All right.
And alligators.
I'm not even joking on this one, okay?
Hi, I'm
To
Cara.
keep this moving
I'm a
along.
baller.
To keep
I have
this
not watched a flat Earth video in 5 minutes.
You're a propagandist, is what
5
you are.
seconds.
let us try to keep our
support.
comments directly related to this video because 13 minutes could stretch into another 2 hours if we're not careful. So, back to Jared. Here we go.
Can you remind me what's the phrase? You say it and then you say moving on.
That's it's an old song. It's Hold Your Head Up.
Hold your head up. That's right. Thank you.
Yes, moving
Hold your
on.
head up.
Very good. That'll be the clue. Here we go.
Science became increasingly associated with the scientific method itself as a disciplined way to study the natural world. That same time period also included the origin of the term scientist and scientific community, the founding of scientific institutions, and the increasing significance of their interactions with society and other aspects of culture. And science is built on the idea of an emphasis on experimental data and the reproducibility of its results. So, in the spirit of science and thought experiments, I bring you the speed of light debunked. And now, this is just a thought experiment. But after this, if you still believe nothing can move faster than the speed of light, well, then enjoy your magical fantasy world built by mathematicians around theoretical nonsense.
Mathematician.
And remember, the universe is under no obligation to make
logic and proof. That is enough. Okay, we gotta stick with our vague, intuitive, make me feel good, crystals up my ass and flat Earth. Okay, great.
Good.
We could really use an oven mitt right now.
Good that we've got that cleared up. Here we go.
Makes sense to you. It can be counterintuitive and against all your senses because, well, Neil deGrasse said so. And he knows all about the universe because, he read it in a book. So let's begin with the Earth.
Okay.
And on the Earth, we place a guy. And away from the Earth, somewhere distant, we put the planet Venus. Now we're told that is about 25 million miles from the Earth at its closest. Now on Venus, we place another guy. Let's just pretend. And he's there, and between them two, you give them a solid pole or a solid stick. Now, such a rod may not exist, but neither can a cannon shoot a cannonball around the Earth. So we're doing a thought experiment here. And so if the person on the Earth...
Okay. Okay. Who called that first?
There you go.
Just me. I
Okay.
think. So, a cannon big enough could fire a cannonball into orbit. There's no real limitation there. But if you were on the moon and you had a strong enough, powerful enough cannon, you could fire a ball into orbit and the ball would come around and hit the back of the cannon in the next orbit, right?
Accurate.
There's no actual limitation there. We could actually do that. This, he just proposed a stick going from one planet to another. A stick going from one planet to another. This is not possible.
No, it's like, and we're just at the beginning of this video. We could call the whole thing just based on this.
I think they're playing tug of war.
I already know where he's going with this. He's gonna say, if they tug the rope, are they gonna feel it, even though it should be going fast and light? I had this thought experiment literally last week.
Well,
and
let's
actually kind of
let
blew
get
me
into
away.
it. I wanted to cover that one little thing about Newton's cannon because that is an entirely possible thing to do. There's no real physical limitation there whatsoever.
And I know, just to what we've had so far, I know where he's going with this, and yes, it's going to be with propagation of information.
I do think it's a stunning coincidence because I was literally thinking this last week.
Now let's not let the cat out of the bag. Let's wait till he says something stupid, and then we'll then we'll hammer him. All right, here we go. Back to Jaren, winner of last year's Golden Tinfoil Hat Award.
Pulled the stick. It would take 2 minutes for the guy on Venus to feel it. Get out. I mean, come on.
Why?
For
Tell
real?
us why.
Get the hell out of here.
Tell us why, Jer.
This is our science. This is our truth. Science is going to stand up for this. All right, come on now. This has got to be some sort of joke. So if we move to the sun, and we've got someone on the Earth and someone on the sun, and they've got the same rod, and they both pull it, what happens?
It would have to be longer.
Okay,
it would take 8 minutes for them each to know the other one pulled the stick. So what?
Okay, Drink. See, he's already off the beam entirely because he's saying that since light, moving at the speed of light, there's an 8-minute lag from the sun to the Earth, approximately. He's assuming that force would be transmitted through this stick at the speed of light as well, which it would not. It would at most propagate at the speed of sound in that medium.
Well, outside of all of that, he's just forgetting about everything basic about the way that anything actually functions in the world.
Well, yeah, that's just Jaren.
This fun thing called friction.
Trust me.
It kind of gets in the way of pretty much everything that we've ever tried to do. Friction.
Well, remember, Michelson and Morley set up a giant string telephone service between the sun and the Earth in 1899, and that experiment certainly verified his hypothesis.
Actually, funny that you'd make that reference, because what he would be concerned with in this is not the speed of light, but the propagation, roughly the speed of sound through the stick. That is how force would be transmitted, not at the speed of light. So
his biggest failure here seems to be that he doesn't understand that all materials have a certain amount of elasticity to them. Even diamond reverberates. You can hit a diamond block with a hammer and it will ring because it vibrates. It's not a perfectly rigid body that once you hit one side of it, the other side is immediately in motion.
Indeed.
And it takes time. It takes time for that force, that energy to propagate through the material, and it's based on the chemical and molecular bonds between the actual atoms within the body. He's just completely disregarding chemistry and physics so that he can make some silly point about something that's completely invalid, an untestable experiment. So he starts out, sorry, I'm just going on this rant now. He starts out with saying scientists are all about the experimentation and then proposes an impossible experiment. It's just his absurdity here.
Can we try the experiment?
Off the rails.
Can we try the experiment with him and plop him on the sun?
Yeah, he can go to the sun. Hell, he can go to Venus if he wants. He can go there instead.
Yeah. Venus, Jupiter. Can we go to Jupiter and make him a pancake?
Also, the funny thing about this is that the planets are moving around, they're orbiting, so, yeah.
Well, we'll give him all of it. Like, give him the best case scenario. It's still an impossible experiment.
I suppose it is a thought experiment after all. And I guess Einstein did work a lot in thought experiments of flying train carts with light clocks. But whatever, let's go.
All right, going.
What happens in the meantime?
I just
the stick grows.
That she forgot one important feature. There is one substance in the universe that is totally inelastic, and that is Jaren's brain.
Because it has that.
And unobtainium.
It's a ball of slime. It's entirely elastic. It's like the most elastic thing in the world. So it's amazing that he doesn't know what elasticity is.
If Jarenism starts using the properties of the sticks to start supporting his view, then you know that he has made his mistake. Okay, let's continue.
All right. Here we go.
That was my support group moment, by the way. I had to rant on that.
Oh, that was just fine. Excellent point. And Here we go.
Magically, this is our science. Okay. Let's move on to Polaris.
Okay, yes,
now
we
we've
get
got a person on the Earth
the point. We don't
holding
need
the rod with a person on Polaris. And the
I don't
person on
know
Polaris
where we
shoves the
find a
rod
rope
forward,
that's
and the person on
435
Earth
years long.
wouldn't know
Who said we
for
have a problem?
433 years. I mean, who doesn't disagree that this is some bullshit? Is someone going to stand there and tell me?
He never actually addresses the material. He's like, "Oh, that's ridiculous. Oh no, that's ridiculous."
Yes. And he's hoping people are going to equate it to
annoying, especially whenever someone trusts their intuition, it kind of annoys me a bit because it always seems to point the wrong way.
Indeed, and he's hoping that his viewers who've never, I mean, their experience with a stick will be like a pool cue, will think, well, yeah, when I push on the pool cue, it's immediately felt at the other end, and just extrapolate to accept this bullshit. Yeah, and honestly, I don't think any of his viewers. We're gonna have to take a look at the comments after a while.
How quite ridiculous it would be to undermine the very foundation of logic itself, math, right? And to instead think, no. I think my own brain can defeat the fabric of logic itself. My own proven fallible brain, if he has one of his. Sorry.
Yes, I'd like to know the mass of this stick that can go 90 million miles. I think that would be quite spectacular, and I think we'd be dealing with Roche limits and conservation of angular momentum to where it would actually be bending as soon as it hits one of the Lagrange points, ripping both of the people off of the sun and the moon, but the Earth. But I guess that's being too fussy.
Yeah, probably. All right, here we go. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is reality. There is no speed limit. If I push the stick, the person on the sun, or on the moon, or on Venus, or across a football field would feel it immediately. Well, let's look at good old Wikipedia.
Drink. Where is your evidence? I mean, bloody hell, right? He's inherently assuming this thing that this idea to prove the thing, which then proves his own thing, and he's using to prove the own thing. It's so bloody circular, okay? It makes the argument of young Earth creationists sound good.
Yes, it does.
I think the worst part about it is he's not even representing science. I did the math on it. I assumed the rod was steel. I looked at the speed of sound through steel and worked out that it would be about 83 minutes for the shock wave. Like if you were to ping the end of the rod with a hammer, right, and send a vibration down it. The person at the other end wouldn't feel it for 84 minutes. So he's not even representing what science would say about this experiment.
Wait. Which two planets are you talking about here? Like
Earth and Venus. Earth and Venus.
Earth and Venus. Okay.
With a rod that's made of steel, and a speed of sound of about 8,000 meters per second.
Yeah,
that's what I worked out.
Well, he jumped right to the speed of light, so I don't think he'd even be
like. Yeah, he goes more into it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying I don't think his thoughts would have even covered that to do the math for that, because he's comparing two different things: the propagation of the shock wave through a solid versus C.
This experiment doesn't even represent the speed of light in any way.
No, it does not.
I'm assuming that the man on the sun has your SciStrike oven mitts on so that he can hold on to the steel effectively while standing on the 10,000 degree sun. I'm just trying to get a good impression of how useful this thought experiment is.
Well, he's got him on his feet too. You see.
Yeah. Well, he's got the special rubber soles there.
He's the best thing though. If you go into that comment section of the video, and then you tell him about vibrations for different materials. You know what he and his brain dead fucking idiot fans are gonna say? They're gonna say like, "Are you just gonna believe what you're told?"
Yes.
Are you gonna believe what
I can prove for a fact there's gonna be some differences depending on material. If I grab the freaking metal pole and smack him in the head.
Kyle, I get that, but are they gonna believe what Jaren says? We're just gonna believe what he tells them.
I think
he's just asking questions and pointing out the lies. That's all he's doing.
Yes, I've heard him say that.
I would just grab the metal pole out and just Okay, I would prove. I'll say here's a different propagation. Bang on the head. Okay, and all once and for all.
All right.
I don't act more violent here, but seriously.
I can almost consider this a new low for Jaren.
I'm trying to consider this terrorism. Terrorism on the brain, I swear.
I mean, he said that weight was a force before. He said that weight is a force.
Well, it is. Weight is a force.
Weight is a force within a gravitational field.
Well, yeah.
Sort of.
Weight is inherently dependent on a force.
He said that weight by itself was a force. No gravity needed.
Well, that's the only way you can not need gravity is if it is. So he kind of had to say that. True. Whether he believes it or not, he had to say that. Otherwise,
and the density argument. Oh my god, that one gets under my skin. It's so stupid.
Well, just the best response to the buoyancy and density argument is why not to the left. That's all you have to say.
Well, yeah. Why not to the left?
Kyle, just hold your head up.
Moving on.
Hold my head. Yeah, I'm starting getting.
Here we go.
Says the speed of light in vacuum, commonly denoted as little c, is a universal physical constant important in many areas of physics. Its exact value is 299,792,458 meters per second, and they say this is exact because the unit of length, the meter, is defined from this constant according to special relativity.
It's not even no.
Okay.
I don't think it's exactly that. I don't think it's is it exactly that? I'll have to fact check that, but it's definitely around 299,792,558. There might be some digits after that. You know, the point.
It's like saying pi is exactly 3.1415.
Yeah. There's definitely something after that. The chance of it actually
anytime any scientific number is stated as exact, anytime any number is stated as exact, it's meant to be exact within our accuracy of measurement.
I would like to add that even then, considerably, our speed of light number that we typically have, this long number, is also not going to, due to the ability that science cannot exactly get the most exact measurements all the time.
We never average it. We don't know
so
exactly what
we are just here focusing on the general model, and if it and
he's doing a semantics game, really.
It's got to depend very strongly on how attuned the measurements are going to have to get.
Have you heard the creationist argument that we only know the round trip speed of light, not the one-way speed of light?
That's pretty dumb.
That's what they threw out. That's what they put out to, stars over 6,000 light years away. Why is the light here already? That was one of the arguments they put forth. Light can move faster.
Sorry to interrupt, everyone. I think I might be out for the evening.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for joining us.
All right.
It's not our fault.
Enjoy the rest of movie night. I'm out.
Okay, good night, Chief. Talk to you soon.
Good night.
Yeah. Mr. Unite for the Children. Yes, that actually was one of the arguments put forth because we bounce light off the moon. We have all of the tests that we have done are with reflected light, and we don't know the one-way speed of light. This is a creationist argument. Okay.
Can I just propose that it's not a horribly difficult thing to do to actually figure out the one-way speed? All you need is along a line, 3 different stations, one on each end and one in the middle. And you can just fire a laser at each end and time how long it takes, and you can synchronize the clocks that way, and you can literally measure. So if you can synchronize clocks across a certain difference to within the accuracy of your measurement, you can shoot a beam of light at the exact same time, and based on when it arrives, you can know the one-way speed by having synchronized clocks. The only problem is being able to create a synchronized clock.
That's the thing. I mean, if we could be guaranteed that, we've got some really cool things on some planets far away.
But you can be guaranteed that. That's what the center station is that's your synchronization station. That's how you sync the clocks, and then you send the signal from one end to the other.
That would work. I will let the creationists know. Can I give them your number if they have any questions?
Well, it's a simple thing. I don't understand why they... It's not hard to figure out. It just takes a few minutes of thinking. It's not
Uh-oh.
Fucking rocket science.
Silence, keep on going. Let's keep on going. This is gold.
But thinking to them is rocket science.
Indeed.
I know, but it's simple geometry, though, if you really think about it, just in basic study of motion.
All right. Paul's making fun of us.
Wait, new game. Take a shot every time Cara says geometry.
All right. Even though no one has said hold your head up.
No, that's a bad thing.
You know I can not say that word, right? And still make my point.
I'd be willing to bet you could. Okay, moving on.
Is the maximum speed at which all conventional matter and hence all known forms of information in the universe can travel. Simply isn't true. We can push the stick and it would travel faster than the speed of light. Says for many practical purposes.
Yeah, okay, just absolutely untrue. I think we've already covered that.
Light and other electromagnetic.
Jared's a liar. Proved once
basically all of his videos, he doesn't go any further than Wikipedia. I just want to point that out.
Yeah.
And, well, yes, no further than Wikipedia, and no further than making an assertion and then moving on. It's just never any.
But a lot of his videos is literally just based around reading Wikipedia articles and coming to his own conclusions that the Earth is flat or that the speed of light is faster than what you think.
And occasionally using the impenetrable Russian vid's defense, roughly an analog of "look at how fake this is." That's one of my favorite defenses. If it's just
common sense argument.
Jaron phrases it a little differently. Alrighty, there we go.
Waves will appear to propagate instantaneously, but for long distances and very sensitive measurements, their finite speed has noticeable effects. In communicating with distant space probes, like Explorer 1 and Explorer 2, currently 13 billion miles from Earth.
Actually.
It could take minutes to hours for the message to get from Earth to the spacecraft or vice versa. The light seen from stars left many years ago, allowing the study of the history of the universe by looking at distant objects. And we see here that it's generally assumed that the fundamental constants such as c, or the speed of light, have the same value throughout space-time, meaning that they do not depend on location and do not vary with time. Down at the bottom we see, more generally, it is normally impossible for information or energy to travel faster than the speed of light. One argument for this follows from the counterintuitive implication of special relativity known as the relativity of simultaneity. If the spatial distance between two events, A and B, is greater than the time interval between them multiplied by the speed of light, then there are frames of reference in which A precedes B, others in which B precedes A, and others in which they are simultaneous. As a result, if something were traveling faster than C relative to an inertial frame of reference, it would be traveling backwards in time relative to another frame, and causality would be violated. In such a frame of reference, an effect could be observed before its cause. Such a violation of causality has never been recorded and would lead to paradoxes such as the tachyonic anti-telephone. Well, we just described that happening, and now we see why it doesn't work.
Drink for RJ.
People...
Oh, okay. Cara, did you call drink?
RJ did.
Oh, RJ.
Yeah, this is kind of a belated one because I was fascinated to wonder what would be the mass of a stick from the Earth to the Sun. And I've come up with a rough ballpark figure that if, you think your average broomstick size stick that maybe a meter length is maybe about a pound, that the stick that they're pulling on is 163 billion pounds. That's an amazingly strong tug that we're dealing with. I don't know whether or not he calculated that into his thought experiment or not, independent of all of the other difficulties of maintaining a 93 million mile long stick.
Well, see, that's the advantage of Jaron's thought experiments. He cannot include in the thought experiments things he doesn't want to think about. Don't you have a word for that, RJ?
Well, it's the advantage of apologetics. You can make excuses for anything.
All right, here we go.
Dishonesty.
I really wish
I distracted you with the heavy stick problem. I was getting a little too wonky.
No, that's fine. I just, he could have saved us a lot of time by just posting the link to the Wikipedia page, couldn't he? I mean,
I did this calculation on my own. I didn't actually draw on Wikipedia. I was just doing it on my own.
No, I meant Jaron.
He's talking about Jaron.
I didn't mean you. I meant Jaron.
Oh, Jaron. Oh,
it could have saved a lot of time.
Well, remember, Jaron knows that his primary issue is with Wikipedia. that if he can establish Wikipedia as a lie, all else falls, because none of those physicists or anything really are going to matter so long as Wikipedia is disproven.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, there we go.
People gave theologians such a hard time, and sometimes rightfully so, because they were motivated not by truth, but to support the theological principles which they had already committed to, and these were fixed and determined in advance. Such persons are not really engaged in genuine inquiry, but instead a sort of sham reasoning. If you aren't trying to search for the truth, well then you're not asking real questions. Government institutes an official inquiry when genuine inquiry actually seeks the truth no matter the outcome. Pseudo-inquiry seeks to make a case for the truth of some proposition or propositions determined in advance. When the government instituted the Warren Commission, they already knew the outcome. Lee Harvey Oswald, lone gunman. So those on the Globe side, those who believe in science, are avoiding examining any apparently contrary evidence too closely to play down its importance or impugn its relevance, to contort themselves into explaining it away by any means possible. If you want an example of this, well, watch these comments. Watch the people saying, "I'm an idiot," because they believe that a man on the sun and a man on the earth could be pulling the rod or stick for 8 minutes until the other one knew that...
Drink. Oh, okay. That was a tie, but it's yours, Cara.
It's just...
Yeah, that's how I feel about this.
It's on that level of just a complete disregard for the actual scientific claims for this kind of experiment. So even if we were to grant everything to him, this isn't valid. His claims are not even... It's a complete straw man.
Yeah, exactly.
From the very get-go.
Exactly. His claims of what our claims are wrong. That is not... The stick problem is not... There's no relativistic problem with the
there's
stick.
no problem.
It's at much lower velocities than that.
If anything, he's just shown how badly he understands the model that he's trying to debunk. That's all he's done.
And yet, just think of the cheering he's going to get from his fans.
Oh yeah, he's already gotten it.
It's about as tantamount. Okay, can I interject?
No.
It's like it's.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's about like trying to debunk just the Revolutionary War, something like that. Because then you say, oh, okay, if we came for the British, how is there still British people?
Okay, and if God made us out of dust, why is there still dust?
Because now it's in the flat earthers' brains.
Gotcha. All right.
I gotta try that on Creationist SciStrike.
I'd like to see that.
Enjoy yourself. Okay. I suspect it's all going to be repetition after this point. He's never going to mention elasticity. I mean, with the whole stick thing, it boils down to, first off, the propagation of the wavefront is at the speed of sound, not the speed of light. Secondly, either the elasticity of this uber-long stick is going to be sufficient to absorb the shock wave as it travels, or the elasticity will be incapable of absorbing it, and the stick will shatter. One of those two things. And we still do not have a relativistic problem. Here we go. Oh, yes?
Yeah. I mean, it could be made of carbon nanotubes, and it's still... I mean, I'm sorry. Just there's no physical thing in existence that would enable this experiment to happen.
Indeed. And if it were, considering scale, once again, which we all know Darren is completely...
Yeah, you could scale this down, totally. You could totally do this on Earth's surface, and you would find, wait a minute, sound propagates through materials. My experiment was invalid.
Yeah. And even at these scales, tugging on the stick is such a minuscule amount of the total length of the thing. I can't imagine a material that would not be able to absorb end to end that kind of shockwave. Okay, I say we move on.
Yes.
Here we go.
If they pulled it, yet in 8 minutes they might have pulled a half-mile worth of rod. So magically, the rod grows until when? What happens after 8 minutes?
No, that's physics.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Oddly enough, yes, that's pretty much what would happen if you're pulling it. Yes, it would either stretch or break, one or the other.
The rod shrinks. Who loses their end? Does the middle disappear? This proves a paradox and proves relativity to be garbage as well as the idea that nothing can go
Now
faster
wait a
than the
minute.
speed
If
of
it
light.
breaks in the middle, is he considering that disappearing?
Might be. All right. No, wait a minute. No. Okay, now how does this fit in? This I'd like to know.
Wait, so the past 100 years that relativity has been around, or like the theory of relativity, well, no one's thought of this? Just
No,
now
no.
people are starting to catch up?
Absolutely, and it's all been disproved with a stick.
Yeah, well, you see, if you
There
put a
is,
stick
Made of an
put solid
undefined material.
Yes, and this is
really fast, the stick on the plane will break.
yeah. Well, and you'll notice I'm talking very quiet about this topic because I do not want Buster the Atheist Pug to hear that we're talking about a stick. Because you know how that's going to turn out.
I've been to websites specifically dedicated to debunking special relativity, mainly special relativity. General relativity isn't typically considered because you have to go to special relativity for that. But they always bring up, right, the pole paradox, the twins paradox. I thought there's another name for it, but and stuff like this, when those have been precisely explained in the papers. Like, those are some of the first things you learn in special relativity, the answer to those problems, whatever.
All right, let's see how the lunar lander has anything to do with any of this. I'm sure it'll be shoehorned in there somehow.
Same people who tell me the speed of light is the speed limit of life tell me that this flew to the moon. And this is not an artist rendition.
NASA liars.
This is
NASA liars,
a photograph.
Oh, he's doing it!
Can I quickly interject?
Sure.
Drink.
Go ahead.
Okay, the finite speed of light was proven way before NASA.
Yeah.
It was had to do with like the appearance of Jupiter was not appearing how it should have been, and they measured pretty accurately for the time, not pretty accurate for the time. They measured relatively around there, that time for the speed of light. And now Maxwell's equations only strengthened that and got more specific when it calculated the speed of light. And then Michelson Morley confirmed that the speed of light is constant. It was known from the
but they're all
get-go.
Freemasons.
Oh, you said relatively. I see what you did there.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, here we go.
Televised it live.
The same people that were telling us that man landed on the moon tell me that the Brooklyn Bridge is made of steel, that you can buy Rice Krispies at the grocery store, that roads are made of concrete. I mean, who are you going to believe?
It is
made of asphalt.
Oh my gosh. Same guy that's telling me. Okay, the joke was not funny.
All right, there we go.
First time going. I mean, if they stepped out on the moon and we were attacked by aliens or they died due to an unknown force that crushed their suit, it would definitely help America's prestige and pride to show that all on live TV. Makes all the sense in the world.
Why don't we have aliens
even question the moon landings? And now I went searching for someone who had some sort of answer to this problem. Oh boy, enjoy yourself looking at this stuff.
Okay.
Let's look at Cora here, this person asking if there was a stick going from the Earth to the moon and someone pulled the stick, would the person on the moon feel it immediately? The answer that had the most amount of votes? No. The impulse could not, by definition, because that's what's really important now is by definition, not what would happen in reality. The impulse could not, by definition, propagate through the stick any faster than the speed of sound through the stick. Ignoring the fact that any such stick would collapse under its own weight, and that wood, not being a terribly efficient conductor of sound, would likely absorb all the motion as heat, the impulse would take a little over a day to reach the moon. That's the 3,962 meters per second speed of sound through hardwood divided into the 384,000 kilometers between us and the moon. What is even being said here?
Why his head is up his ass.
It would take over a day to reach the moon?
But he wouldn't hear
so
that
what if I start pulling on the stick? So I can just pull the stick for over a day and the person on the moon would not know?
Something like
the
that.
stick is magically growing? This is what science and
No, they would disappear in the middle.
physics and nonsense has done to the world. Corrupted it.
No.
Made it a
Apparently
place
he does
where
not
people
know
say
the idea about
that it could not,
inertia
by
and how much
definition,
energy
do.
you need to put a mass to start pulling a stick that weighs millions of tons.
Well, remember, it's only a thought experiment, and he can ignore thinking about things he doesn't want to think about. Here we go.
Or the sheer strength it would take to pull a stick apart just with your bare hands.
Well, you saw how big those guys were.
Oh, well, that explains it.
Yeah, let's try it on a smaller scale with, like, say, a mile-long stick, and let's see how far Jaren can pull it.
Okay. We will invite him to do so, although he usually reneges on any commitments to actually perform experiments where there are observers that might disagree with him. I believe he has a history of that. All right, here we go.
Do something that we know our senses tell us could happen. You could have a stick from here to the moon, and that stick could be pulled on for an entire day, according to these people, and it wouldn't be noticed. But then what would happen at the end of that? Do they not realize there's a paradox here?
No.
Would the stick just disappear
Do you know what a paradox
out of the person's hand a day later?
That's
Based
when
on
you
what
have
this person's
doctors
saying,
in the
if it
same
took a
room
little bit more than
not
a
gonna
day,
trick me up yet.
Oh god, my brain.
to feel it from the moon,
He thinks
then
he
rather than me
assumes, right, that this stick is a natural spectrum, a continuous spectrum from one end to the other. And for the most part, it typically looks like that. However, if you get down at the microscopic level, you'll see that that isn't the case. They're all made of these individual parts that bump each other. So it inherently assumes, right, that the thing is continuous. To disprove that that's discrete, right? So it's just another circular argument.
We missed. I think we may have missed another winner. Look at the comments. Nim says all he does is pull. Remember when he was saying pull? All he does is pull things out of his ass. All right. I think I'm calling a winner for that. That's an oven mitt for that one too, don't you think?
Yeah, I don't.
That's because I was getting tired of hearing him say pull as well. Nim, congratulations, you're on the list. Very good. Okay, back to the stupid. The good part about this is Jaren bids we get through very quickly because he only makes 1 point in all of his videos, and it's usually very short.
Yeah, he's okay. Here is the flow chart of a Jeranism vid, right? First of all, put in your stupid intro. Okay, right? You know, saying all the space is wrong and all the space memes and hosting have a problem, right? Step 2.
All right, RJ's giggling.
Oh, Crypto just says Jaren has mastered the brown chakra. I'm sorry to interrupt there.
Okay, so step 2, right? You're gonna go look at a commonly established fact. Step 3, you're gonna go onto Wikipedia and look at some things. Step 4, you're gonna say it's all ridiculous. Step 5, you're gonna make your circular argument. Step 6, rinse and repeat for about 30 times. That makes Transformer look fresh and new. And then you got your Jeranism bid.
Indeed, that is pretty much accurate for most of them. And let's not forget what he hasn't done in a while. I don't know why, and it's probably going to affect him badly. But he used to spend at least 40 minutes at the beginning of every video confirming every conspiracy theory on Earth so that all of his viewers felt comfy with their particular, pet conspiracy theories. He doesn't seem to do that anymore.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. They all seem to follow each other's trail. I'm like, oh, this person is this conspiracy. They also believe every other bloody conspiracy. Even though equally, you can make another conspiracy about it, about equal logic that they put into theirs.
All right, and okay, and not to interrupt you, but Crypto, that brown chakra, that's it. That's a win. You, sir, are the proud, soon to be the proud owner of the ScienceStrikeforce safety device Oven Mitt. So that's
They're high quality. High quality Oven Mitt.
Yeah, James gave him that.
Indeed, definitely a winner there. All right, back to Jaren. We are making a tremendous amount of progress. We only have about 3 minutes left, and I bet it's all repetition after this. Here we go.
Laughing about it taking 8 minutes for somebody to notice on the sun. According to this person, it would take 400 days.
Right, so what this means, Jaren, is you're not even wrong.
So I could pull my end of the stick for over a year, and the person holding the other end at the sun would have no idea for over a year.
Okay,
and then
Drink.
what happened?
Okay, Cara, you're up.
Yeah, that's why he started off. He's known all this since the beginning. So it's like the whole, hey, Dad, can I have $100? And when he says no, okay, well, can I have 10? It's what he's doing in a way, because he started off with this absolutely ridiculous claim and then saying, oh, look, but the science actually says this, and it's even more ridiculous. He's just doing the exact opposite.
I see.
Wait. If it comes more ridiculous, that means you have to give a small loan of $1 billion.
Alrighty.
Dad, stop hitting me with that stick.
I mean, that's kind of what he did here. That's kind of how I'm seeing it, because as far as I can tell, he knew he was making an incorrect assertion from
I just despise circulation because it just shows their own arrogance of their own ignorance of their own views.
And of course, when it is explained, all he does is make it more ridiculous.
I typically follow a cycle, and with enough logic and reasoning, you can typically get through a person. That does not seem to be a very accurate model of mine, even though it's the one I really hope I should probably start getting used to that.
Alrighty, 3 minutes left.
Journalism would disappear.
Fino, you don't want me to sing it like Yaga.
Because he really...
What's Fino say? Oh, alright. Here we go.
What if he was pulling the stick as well? And at the end of a year, what happens? And what does the speed of sound have to do with me pushing one end of a stick? If I push one end of a stick, the other end immediately...
Drink, please.
Okay, Cara.
So instead of making an attempt to better understand the physics he didn't understand to begin with, he just makes it's more absurd now.
It just shows one close to actual knowledge. Okay, can we cut this? It's just going to repeat the same thing of
yes.
repeating the exact same claims. It's going to start, he's going to continue going in a circle.
He's not repeating, he's getting worse at the very last second.
No, it seems quite honestly like repeating. Like he says something and then he says, "Oh, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous."
All right, but
how old is this guy again? I mean, even I get this.
Well, I mean, I don't think age should really factor into anything. I've seen some smart kids, some dumb kids. I've really experienced some dumb kids. One time I asked a guy how many sides does a triangle have? He said 4. Or no, he corrected himself. He said 0. He said 1. What?
All right.
Age really doesn't matter enough experience.
We've got
they're in a little itty bitty mass to push, like say something the size of an aircraft carrier, and see how quickly he can push the whole shebang. If we put somebody on the other end of the aircraft carrier, is like a training wheel exercise for his 160 billion ton stick.
I think Mole fell asleep. Mole, you awake?
Or Mole, wake up, Mole.
Yo.
Okay. Just checking.
Yep.
We thought we heard the.
Thought you buried yourself. Wait.
We thought we heard the snore. All right, here we go. We've only got 3 minutes left. This should be easy. Remember, the last minute's just his outro. Here we go.
Guys, come on. Think with me here. This is what our science tells us.
Think with me
here. This is what these men in high places have convinced us all of.
You, dear boy.
Are you ready to stand up and say, nah, horseshit? Or are you ready to bow down to them some more and repeat and parrot
drink.
deGrasse?
I forgot to mention in my very complicated flowchart the barrage of insults. I think it's step 7 I'm on now. Oh my gosh, it's the god number. It must be flat if it's correct. Anyway, step 7, where he just starts barraging all insults and starts calling you sheep with a barrage of names in the background.
It's kind of ironic and hypocritical, especially when his fans will blindly believe whatever he says.
Yeah, on
this is the hardest part of the video to get through.
Okay. So, before there was the common explanation of sunsets, which I still haven't given people attention for, or ships over horizon or something like that. And before, the common answer was perspective. And then refraction came along. And then Rob Skiba is like atmospheric. And everyone bloody swallowed it. Everyone swallowed that up, even though that isn't at all how lenses work. And then they'll say density without even thinking it through. Why didn't it fall to the right? Why didn't it fall to the left? Okay, it's whatever. And I think
This
I almost thought I lost sound there in my head because my headphones are very finicky and heard nothing. Anyway,
this
I'm muted.
This is a very frustrating avocation we've all selected, isn't it? I mean, every once in a while, I wonder if we're making any progress. All right, here we go.
No.
This is again. This is a typical Jaren thing. It looks like this is the end, but it's not the end. So let's see because we've got
song, right?
Yeah, we've got 2 minutes left.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that too. This is the end.
Every day that the universe has no obligation to make sense to us. The reason that this universe is under no obligation to make sense to us
okay?
is because
how such arrogance do you need to think that that the whole universe should prescribe to your expectations? Okay.
That does border on arrogant, doesn't it? All right. Oh, and Paul the Skeptic. RJ gets one. RJ, anybody who's on the panel, who donates their time.
I donate my mitt to the sheeple. Up with the sheeple.
All right. Here we go.
And explaining it want to have no obligation for their theories to make any sense at all. You science buffs and intellectual clowns think you have it all figured out.
Yeah, intellectual. Bad.
We do. We make the predictions. We have predicted solar eclipses. Your model has only been ad hoc and prescribed that you can't figure out what's outside your bloody own flat earth. We figured that thing long ago, okay? And you've yet made no predictions. You have no equations. You have nothing, okay?
That's the end.
I think he's actually right, though. Maybe we haven't done anything. Maybe this guy's actually done everything. How do we know? We weren't there.
Yeah. Were you there?
That's the complete irony of all this, is because, when you get down to, quantum physics and things like that, it starts to become very non-intuitive. But for the most part, science is actually extremely intuitive and makes sense if you understand it correctly. If you make stupid, wild, ridiculous assumptions about it, of course it's not going to make sense because you don't make sense. Jaren doesn't make sense, and he's trying to make sense of the world.
To me, the most intuitive thing you can even ask for is that it conforms for what the reasoning and logic and math would point you to. Why is that? Because, logic it's the fabric of logic that has made the predictions and has more time and time again. And if you go against the most... Okay, go on.
Well, it's just for example, this whole rod thing.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense because it's like looking at an explosion and expecting the shock wave to hit you immediately the second you see it. No, it takes time for it to get to you. When a force is exerted, you're not going to feel it. So it's just he doesn't even understand it well enough to say that it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, the most intuitive
it actually
thing.
Makes sense, and he thinks it doesn't. That's what's stupid about it. It actually does make sense, but his shit doesn't.
The most intuitive thing in the world is what the reasoning will point you to. Why is that? Because otherwise, if what reason points to you isn't intuitive, it doesn't make sense. In that case, what makes sense is something that goes against the very fabric of logic itself. And that makes zero sense.
Alrighty. Closing in. I think you're right. We're into the insult stage of Jaren's video, and that should go by quickly.
We can largely skip it because it's going to turn into a bunch of drinks. Because at every insult, he's going to say, "What the fuck is wrong with you, Jaren?
All right.
Just an arrogant asshole."
All right. So shall we?
He is. That is correct.
So shall we?
But all I know, I have not collected my shekels of gold yet. Okay.
Well, see, the good thing about Jaren videos is we do get to discuss some actual science, which is always a good thing.
That's kind of why I was up to it, because I actually find relativity and the speed of light and all those things actually interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really fun topic, and
that's why it's so insulting too, is because it is a very interesting topic that you can test to ridiculous.
You piss on the graves of the great minds that have made the prediction, that gone on, that did the experiment.
Yes.
Pissed in their face. They were confirmed by other scientists, right? When you blatantly use what's his name, a Boltzmann, allegedly Boltzmann, and try to use his thermodynamics against, say, something like evolution, that's I've heard. You piss on his grave of what he actually did, and that upsets me greatly.
Well, frankly, he's pissing on everybody living today as well, and that's what's the most insulting part about it.
Yeah, okay.
Saying nobody in today's world can go out and test this themselves.
With this kind of like lack of understanding on how sound waves work, or just any vibrations work, how fast is Jones' channel growing again? Like,
oh my god! I just remembered that.
Well, we know,
I was on a.
We know why that is. It's comforting to people to have a simple answer, like God did it. God did it.
Yeah,
it's the best answer.
No. It's because people are it's because the people are waking up to the truth, and you guys just don't understand it. You guys just.
I would like to add that there's a study. I can't pinpoint what it is. I might find it later and post it in the SciStrike that found that typically people that believe in conspiracy tend to feel powerless, and that they feel like this is the way to go. Say, oh, gotcha! I found out. I'm now powerful. I know the truth.
Yes.
And they will.
It's exhilarating to be in on the secret truth.
Yeah, and that and religion, I think, combined together is really strong point.
I would tend to agree. And there's two ways to deal. There's two ways we can deal with looking at a situation or science or something we observe when we say we don't understand it. One is I don't understand it, therefore it's bullshit. That's the Jaren way. The other way is to say I don't understand it. I'm going to find out and try to understand it. That's what Jaren is lacking. They're the things that either that or he's just a great actor. But it seems like that's the case. I don't understand it, therefore it's bullshit. That's
I still say he's very dishonest. That he knows he's a liar. Every video he makes, it seems to confirm that.
I would tend to agree. If
even the ones where he's actually saying, okay, the model's accurate, the globe model.
I don't even think I could say he's lying because he really makes. I can't really say he's lying because he really makes no points. He just assumes the thing and circles back in on it.
No, he's a liar. He is a blatant liar. Like there's a video on my channel. There's a video on my channel where he lies to your face when the thing he's saying it doesn't exist is right in front of you in the video he is showing. He is a liar.
In this video, I don't see him really lying. I see him circling back in on himself.
Yeah,
the fact that he knew about the whole sound propagation issue from the very beginning and didn't even bring it up till halfway through the video makes him a liar.
Yes, and it could all be profit motivated if there's any profit going on. The whole disappearing house thing would tend to indicate that may not be the case. But yes, if he had the explanation available to him and just decided, you're right, it could be either blatantly dishonest, and there's a lot of evidence on that side, or it's just, I don't understand. I don't understand this whole sound argument, therefore it's a speed of light issue. There's arguments on both sides, but I'm leaning towards the dishonest part as well. More evidence is
I'm leaning towards the dishonesty too as well.
Yeah, more evidence of that is when in his older videos where he used to affirm every what I mentioned before, every wacky conspiracy theory he would go through one at a time. Nobody could believe in all of them. The chemtrails, the Loch Ness monster, whatever. He would go down. He would
this
go
might
down
be a
the whole
little
list.
unrelated, but have you ever seen the chemtrailers try to eradicate the chemtrails? It is funny. It is so funny.
Oh my god, the guy with the sunburn who was sitting outside with the vinegar or whatever it was. And he was sitting outside looking at chemtrails, and then he blames the chemtrails for his sunburn afterwards. That is weapons grade dumb fuckery right there.
Getting the Darns Award.
I love weapons grade dumb fuckery. I love that. I may use that. All right. Oh my god, 3.5 hours. We've been at this for 3.5 hours, folks. That is disturbing. But I am glad we brought we did proceed through Jaren's because it was definitely worth the time and the effort.
Okay, what's next?
Yeah, I love the
feel better
idea
now that
of
I've ranted
Aaron
a little
pulling
bit.
on a billion-ton rope.
All right. Let me put a little X next to Jaren. Took care of that one. We actually had 3 other things, and then if we ran short on time, okay, we had 3 things from Subphotonic. NASA Truth Alert numbers 1 through 3, requested by username unknown. I don't mean I don't know his username. I mean that's his name, unknown. That's the name he picked. We had those 3.
That's the villain in an old Agatha Christie mystery.
Yeah, and if anybody remembers Subphotonic, he is possibly one of the most likely to inspire violence to our computers by us.
Punching it?
And oh yeah, you
by
remember him?
By us setting up terrorist bombs and exploding them.
If we watched a video from Subphotonic saying it's 8 p.m., just those words, we'd want to punch the computer already. So we had those 3 queued up. We'll save them, and I think we'll bypass the O-Face game this evening. What do you guys think?
We can leave that aside. Yes, we can leave Subphotonic to a future era.
Indeed, we got him queued. We definitely.
You Americans should better wrap this up and get to bed and start having nightmares about Jared.
Don't worry, I'm already having nightmares as I fall asleep in my chair.
Indeed.
I just am envisaging him pulling on that damn billion-ton stick. I mean, that is just a wonderful. I didn't.
He should
know
give up. He should give up being a con man and start working out more. He becomes Superman. Maybe.
Supposed to be a clown. These sciencey people are supposed to be clowns. So I think I need to go and a few more things, put on a big shiny nose. There's a lot that I need to get down to make sure that I come across this properly sciencey. There's the problem.
I see.
All right, let's see. Mr. Goodnight for the Children.
If I can handle the floppy shoes, though, I can be a little clumsy on that.
Hey, I'm out of here, y'all.
Are we gonna bring up the pug?
We're all out of here. It's getting to be about that time.
Bring up the pug.
All right.
Bring up the pug.
Would anyone care to do any shameless plugs before we pull the plug?
Okay. You know what? Stay smart. Don't be an idiot. Okay, goodbye.
Okay, that's one. That's a very nice one. Anybody else?
I got something to say.
Okay.
You Globers, and I'm not actually flat earth, obviously, but you Globers and you just want to believe in your science fiction, and also have a look at my blog, themoderatheist.blogspot.com.
There you
Why
go.
debunk the flat earth. But you Globers, you just want to believe in your science fiction, you're obsessed with science fiction. That's why you want to believe in it.
Indeed.
And I don't believe that you're actually a Glober. You're a flat earther now.
It's so advanced, high level trickery here.
All right, and let's see.
#Pyramid Earth.
Pyramid Earth.
Can I shamelessly plug the amazing people at SpaceX and NASA and all of the great scientists out there who are pushing the frontier of human understanding?
Absolutely.
Check out all those guys, all the great work they're doing, and
doing the work, yes.
Cara, you're just getting paid by them to say that.
Callzter, shut up. Check them out.
Wow. Remind me not to make Cara mad. Okay. You know what? Before we forget, tonight's 4 winners for the oven mitts. So that you will be safe in future episodes of Movie Night and any other encounters with flat earthers, creationists, or whatever, are Mr. Unite for the Children, Uncomfortably Numb, Nim, and Crypto. You will find an email address in the description for this video. Please email a shipping address for your oven mitt, and they will be sent out Monday. Now, anybody that's all spooky about giving out your address, I just thought to mention this tonight. There is you can just name a post office that's close to you, and it can be sent for pickup only. If anyone's funny about sending us at ScienceStrikeforce your mailing address. I mean, I can tell you that's where it ends. We ship you your thing, but if you'd feel safer, you can just give us a post office, and we can send it for pickup, and that way you can do that. So
I'd offer to use my a teleporter, but I have to let Bonneville Power Administration know 500 years in advance before I turn it on.
Gotcha. All right, and let's see. Any other plugs? RJ, you want to throw anything out there?
Oh, I'll just remind everybody that Jeranism has more patrons than I have. Remedy that.
Okay, that's a good one. And
also, if any Jaren fans are watching it, please just stop being a patron to that fucking con man. Please just stop. Don't give him money. Just don't.
You're just encouraging him.
What point would you give money to this when all it is just, oh, do you really believe that? Do you really believe that? It must be false.
Yeah, it does seem rather, but it's what I said. What he says to his followers is comforting, and it makes them feel they're in on the secret, so they no longer feel powerless, and they're screwed up lives.
Paul gets it. Okay, stop. Don't be stupid. Okay, stay smart. There's my plug. I don't really believe marketing. I just believe in seeking the world out for yourself and not being a moron.
All right. Well, I think everybody here.
Bring on the pug.
Bro, we will bring on the pug. Everybody here, any notable links that point to any of the panelists are already in this video's description. And that being the case, pretty much everybody knows what's coming.
Bring on the pug.
Look at that face. This is kind of the reward for putting up with the bullshit we listen to in those videos.
That's so
That was so worth it. It's always worth it.
It is so worth it. It's so cute.
You know, one of these days I'm gonna have to invite the corgi on. She's getting a little jealous.
A pug could pull a stick into hundreds of billion tons faster than that nasty old flat earther.
Well, see, why do you think? With the Jeranism thing, why do you think I was talking all quiet about the stick? You tell a pug about a stick, he's not going to leave you alone until you throw it.
That pug is ready to move. And that pug has in fact written a whole paragraph on the propagation times of shockwaves through multi-billion ton sticks. He knows the facts.
And good night all, thanks for joining us. Hey look, Mr. Goodnight for the Children, remember to say goodnight to Buster too. Buster will be pleased that you remembered him.
Oh man, I just have like a code sitting here on my desktop. I'm here losing my brain cells, so
alright.
I feel a lot.
Hey, and all you esteemed panelists, you guys remember to give me a shipping address too. Just for being a panelist, that's it, you win. You get them in.
Yay!
Yay!
I donate any myths of mine to the deserving sheeple. They can easily have that.
By the way, Sai, I've already sent you an email containing my address. So you can
gotcha.
Containing your dress?
Oh no, my.
Address. Come on now, RJ.
Oh, boy,
right.
I was thinking this was really going to get interesting here, but you're just dashing my hopes.
Hi, RJ.
You can have it, Jason. There we go. Anybody who needs a knit.
Alright, good night all. Thanks for coming.
Or something like that.
See you soon.